Okay. Now that the storm's gone, we're back. Thank God.
Who is breathing on the mic? Oh my fucking god.
I shouldn't be muted. Okay, yeah. I had it unmuted. I just wasn't speaking for a second there.
Shit. Alright.
You got a hot mic in your game?
He's not saying anything, but every so often I hear him breathe on his mic.
That's the worst.
Welcome to r slash am I the
Breathes
butthole?
out really hard sometimes.
Yeah. Welcome back, Winter. The storm passed by, so we should be good to not die again. For once, my brain was smart and decided to save really quick, so I didn't lose anything. Thank God.
Where OP might be dating a child molester. Am I the butthole for breaking off my engagement with my fiance because of his creepy comments towards my 14-year-old sister? I'm a 21-year-old woman, and I'm in a tough situation. I'm not sure if I'm overreacting, so I need some outside perspective. I've been with my fiance, Charles, who's 35. Yo, OP is 20 and he's 35. Okay. Yo, that's almost double her age. Wow. For about 2 years, and everything seemed fine until recently. A few weeks ago, my 14-year-old sister, Amy, came to stay with us for just a few days while our parents were out of town. During her stay, I started noticing some really unsettling things. At first, I thought that I was imagining it, but Charles started making comments that made me feel incredibly uncomfortable. He would call my sister so hot and would say things like, "You're gonna turn heads when you're older," and "You've got such a body on you already." The worst part was when he said, "I'd be jealous if I were your boyfriend. Every guy will be looking at you soon."
Gross.
I tried to ignore it at first, but it kept happening, and I began to feel sick to my stomach. Then, one evening, I overheard him telling a friend on the phone, "Amy's got that look now. It's like she's starting to bloom." It was honestly one of the creepiest things I've ever heard. I felt like I was losing my mind, and I just knew that I couldn't stay in that relationship anymore. I confronted him about his behavior, and he immediately got defensive. He denied it and said that I was being paranoid and that I should trust him. He insisted that he was just being nice and that I was overreacting. I didn't care. I packed my things, broke off my engagement, and moved back in with my parents. Now, my friends and some family members are telling me that I overreacted. They say that I should have talked it out with him first.
That
but
is not a
I don't see
talking
how
out
that would
kinda
have
thing.
changed anything. You know what's crazy about this is if you give the dude in this story the most insane benefit of the doubt and assume that the 14-year-old girl is actually, I don't even know, 24, and he were talking about the 24-year-old sister this way, that would still be grounds for breaking up. Just constantly drooling over your fiance's sister is wildly inappropriate. But then you add in the fact that she's 14 and not 24, and that just multiplies the grossness by like times 10. So, OP, don't just drop the fiance, drop all the friends who are defending him too. I'm giving you 0 out of 5 buttholes. I'm giving him 4 out of 5 buttholes. Am I the butthole for refusing to share my biological kid's funds with my stepchildren? I'm a 40-year-old woman, and I have a 17-year-old son. We lost his dad when I was 28. It was hard for us. We didn't have time to build a massive fortune. But from his insurance and other investments, I created a trust fund for my son, and the money there is around $150.
Shit. Uh-uh.
$50,000. I've done well career-wise, and I'm employed at a government job. It's a secure job until the age of 60, it pays decently, and I live an upper-middle-class lifestyle. I met my new husband when I was 30 and he was 32 during some event. We connected from day one, and a year later we got married. My husband has twins, a 15-year-old boy and girl. Their mother is involved in their life, and my husband made it clear from day one that our children's finances will be kept separate. We share grocery, necessities, and clothing funds, but savings and school fees are kept separately. We also own our separate homes. I'm currently living at his house and renting out my own. The money that I make from rent is used exclusively on whole family travels. My son and his kids get along fine, but they don't call us parents or each other siblings. We also have a daughter together who's 7. Also, I save a lot for our young daughter, as she won't have my son's trust fund and I want to secure her future. The recent issue is that my son currently has that trust fund, and he wants to study in Australia and is preparing to move next year. My husband's children has their own fund. However, the maximum that he can contribute to each child's fund is $25,000. He lost money on gambling and his ex-wife doesn't save. My husband started saying that we should join all of our funds and is pressuring my son. My son was giving in, but I refused. I said that it was my son's inheritance from his dad, and that can't cover the loss of his father. My husband exploded and verbally abused us in anger. I also didn't hold back. He slapped me. For the first time ever in life, he hit me. We sorted out things later, but I'm not going to give up this fund. My stepchildren, who have always been cordial to me, are suddenly calling me an evil monster. These are the same kids that I prepare meals for every morning at 6 a.m. I wash their clothes and iron them. I buy them clothes and other things despite my husband barely doing these things for my son. If combined, the fund will come out to $83,000 for each. And yeah, it would still cover the Australian education for all 3, but I'm not going to do that. His children also want to go to Australia now. My son said that he doesn't want my marriage to fail, and he would give away the money if it would make me happy. I said no, and I said that his future can't be compromised. I told my husband that it isn't my fault that he was careless in our 9 years of marriage. He never acted like this, and he's been giving me the cold treatment ever since. My marriage is on the verge of breaking, but I can't deny my son his rights. I know that if I say yes, he'll happily share the money, but I won't. I would rather burn. But I'm crying with the way that my man is treating me. My parents are saying that I won't find a man later and to compromise and make peace. They said the fight was a one-time thing, and we're expected to adjust. Also, I want to give him a chance as long as he stops harassing my son. My friends are saying that it's tough to find a man again when you're a widow and then divorced. Then OP posted an update, which is a bit dry, so I'll just summarize. Basically, OP decided to forgive him, and they're going to therapy. I'll read this part here. My husband admitted to the slap in front of my parents, and my old father was about to beat him. My husband apologized deeply, and he also told his family about this.
Oh, it says that some stuff got delivered. Whoop. Okay. Hold on. Be right back, guys. We gotta order delivery.
Should hopefully be your new mouse in there. Shit. Here you go. Wow. New mouse. Wow. New mouse.
I threw olive into the box. Okay. Q. And the litter box tomorrow, and then the other one will be later. Okay.
This who shamed him. I know that I might get labeled a doormat here, but if he's willing to work on it, then that works for me. He's trying to leave his alcohol and gambling addiction. I'll overlook his spending now and give him fun money every month for his own expenses. He decided to hand me control of most of the funds. I feel like we're going in the right direction. Also, OP mentions that the stepchildren apologized to OP. Well, OP, I hope it works out, but to be honest, I'm not super optimistic. Once things get violent, once one person in the relationship lays their hands on the other person in the relationship, I think it's dead. There's no coming back from that. So, good luck, OP. I think you're gonna need it. OP, I'm giving you 0 out of 5 buttholes. I'm proud of you for standing up for your son. I'm giving your husband 4.5 out of 5 buttholes. The dude drinks, gambles, hits women, and tries to steal from his children. Maybe 5 out of 5 buttholes? Am I the butthole for rage quitting after I lost an election? I'm a 28-year-old woman, and I've been a member of a large volunteer organization for several years. I'm one of the longest standing members. I've spent hundreds of hours on various aspects of it. I've held small leadership positions in almost every area, and I have a large amount of experience being the president of another organization as well. When I first joined, things were not doing well, so I, along with others, worked our butts off to improve that, and we did. In fact, we did so well with improving the atmosphere that we had a massive amount of incoming members, who quickly became very close with each other, something we specifically encouraged. And to have absolutely no idea how bad things used to be, or how much behind-the-scenes work it takes to maintain the way things are now. I ran for president in the most recent election. I ran against 5 other candidates. 4 of us had years of experience and had been preparing our campaign for months, if not years. One person, Alex, was extremely new, like a few weeks, and had 0 experience at all. And he decided to run last minute and had a very large friend group with other new members. Alex was barely allowed to run due to how new they were, but made the cut by a handful of days. You can see where this was going. The vote was extremely close between me and Alex, and I lost by 1 vote. The rest of the elected officials were all new members of the same friend group, also without experience. Then it was discovered that 9 to 10 votes, specifically the votes of other people in leadership positions who work closely with me, were not counted. This wasn't intentional or malicious, simply a computer error. Apparently, every single one of those uncounted people voted for me. Technically, I won. They tried to get the election results overturned because of it, but higher-ups wouldn't allow it because they feared that it would look like favoritism. At the end of the day, I was told to keep quiet and not let anyone know about this. That brings me to my current situation. Because nobody on the new executive team has any experience, I started facing a lot of pressure to take on a lower leadership position solely to guide them and ensure our hard work doesn't go to hell. I absolutely refused. In fact, I've decided to drop all leadership roles and do absolutely nothing this year. This has led to multiple people telling me that I don't truly care about the organization, that I'll be responsible if it falls apart, etc. I feel like it's a slap in the face to expect me to do what a president does without the title to show it. Am I the butthole for dropping all leadership positions and letting the new team do whatever the hell they want to do? You know, actually, it will be the president of the organization's fault if everything goes to hell. OP, this is just people trying to guilt trip you to get free labor out of you. And you've already given enough free labor, so do what you want to do. I'm giving you 0 out of 5 buttholes. Am I the butthole for refusing to babysit my deceased best friend's kids after her husband's betrayal? My best friend Emma passed away from cancer 2 years ago. We were like sisters. She was my maid of honor, I was hers. When she was diagnosed, I was her primary caregiver, helping her through chemo and spending every possible moment with her. Her
Get
husband,
down!
Mike, was a different story. During her treatment, I discovered that he was having an affair with a coworker.
She got
Emma
down.
knew, but was too sick to deal with the drama. After she died, I confronted Mike, telling him that he was a disgrace. He begged me to keep it from the kids, who are 9 and 6. Last week, Mike called me asking to regularly babysit. Apparently, his affair partner is now his live-in girlfriend. She's some AI art influencer with 50,000 followers who posts AI pictures of cats wearing clothes. And they want free time. He had the audacity to say that Emma would have wanted me to help for the kids. I told him absolutely not. The thought of babysitting while he lives with the woman who betrayed Emma makes me sick. Some say the kids are innocent and need support, others think that I'm justified. Mike is now telling everyone that I've abandoned Emma's children. My own family is pressuring me, saying that I'm being vindictive. Am I the butthole? You know what I don't understand after reading literally thousands and thousands of Reddit posts is how is it that every single human being on Earth seems to have this group of friends who literally just don't understand basic morality? This is one of like the most cut and dry, wow, Mike is a horrible human being, this is not Emma's responsibility, stories that you could possibly imagine. So who are these friends who are like, I don't know, Mike makes a really good point. I mean, yeah, he cheated on his dying wife who died of cancer, but let's cut the guy some slack. Who are these people? I like this reply from Left Ad, not the butthole. Give the cheater the contact details of your mutual friends and family who think otherwise. Right? OB, you get 0 out of 5 buttholes. I'm giving the cheater, oh geez, I think 4.5 out of 5 buttholes. These stupid friends that are in every story, where they're all just so stupid, I'm giving them 2 out of 5 buttholes. Am I the butthole for leaving in the middle of Thanksgiving dinner because of pumpkin pie? I'm a 32-year-old woman, and my mother, who's 60, hosts Thanksgiving dinner at her house every year. It's a small event, and my parents, me, my brother's family, and my sister-in-law's family attend. We avoid family quarrels by implementing a strict no politics rule and trying our best to be civil. I should probably mention that we're not a particularly close-knit family. We rarely see each other beyond these events since my brother lives in South Africa and I travel a lot due to my work. Thanksgiving is important to my mom since it's one of the rare times that we're all together. Anyway, the main problem I have with my mother is her constant critique of me. She has a habit of making passive-aggressive comments about my life choices, from my career to my lack of children to the way I dress. I've addressed this with her multiple times, but she doesn't really seem to be aware of it. My father claims that it's just her way of fussing and expressing that she cares. It does hurt though, because my brother is never criticized in the same manner. I can't entirely fault her for her criticism, since I did majorly mess up my life a few months ago. Depression, and it's affected her opinion of me negatively. It doesn't excuse the way that I acted, but I just wanted to explain why I left. By the time we finished dinner, I was a bit prickly because of some of her commentary. Now, I made a cake for dessert. I was explicitly put in charge of it, and no one specified what exactly I should make, so I opted for maple cheesecake. I did my best, and I think it looked okay. Mom normally makes pumpkin pie, but I really hate pumpkins. They make me gag. So I thought perhaps we could try something new. As I was bringing out the cheesecake, my mom eyed it somewhat warily and announced that she had decided to make the usual pie as well. This caught me off guard. I asked why she didn't tell me beforehand, and she said something like, "Well, we figured you'd do your own thing, so I thought it was best to have a backup." She went on to cut the pie and serve it to everyone, instructing me to leave the cheesecake in the kitchen. When someone asked to try my dessert, she said, "Let's not mix too many flavors at once," which just felt passive-aggressive. I know that it's immature for an adult to get this upset over a triviality, but I just politely refused as she was handing me a slice of pie, retrieved my coat, and left. People were calling after me, I think, but at that point I was crying for some reason, and it would have been too humiliating to have an emotional outburst in front of everyone for no real reason. My mom just texted me saying that it was incredibly rude and immature of me to leave like that, especially on Thanksgiving. My brother also sent me a message saying that I'm acting irrationally. I feel horrible for leaving so abruptly, especially because my parents are getting older and we're already not close. Something about my mother seems to turn me into a neurotic teenager, and I hate it. OP, what do you mean something about your mother? It's pretty obvious. She's just a butthole. Did she really tell you to make a dessert just so that she could embarrass you in front of everyone and make everyone not eat your dessert? Was that her whole plan? I don't blame you, OP. She sounds exhausting. Why would you even go to Thanksgiving in the first place? OP, I'm giving you 0 out of 5 buttholes. I'm giving your mom 2.5 out of 5 buttholes and the rest of your family 1.5. Am I the butthole for ruining Thanksgiving after my boyfriend announced my pregnancy and his mom fainted? Alright, so I'm a 20-year-old woman and my boyfriend Jake is 22. I went to Jake's family Thanksgiving dinner last week. We'd been dating a year, and this was my first time meeting the whole squad, so I was already kinda nervous. Before we left, Jake joked about how his family was super traditional and said that I should be ready for some old-fashioned vibes. I just laughed it off. Dinner starts and everything's fine until Jake suddenly goes, "Hey everyone, we have big news." I'm sitting there like, what big news? Then he grins at me and says, "Tell him, babe." I'm panicking, so I just sit there confused. And his mom is already emotional, asking if we're engaged or something. Then Jake drops, "She's pregnant!" Y'all, I am not pregnant. I immediately start denying it, but Jake's cracking up, saying it's just a joke and telling me to play along. His family is not laughing. His mom legit faints, and his dad starts yelling, and his grandma is praying under her breath. I'm mortified. I stand up and go, "Actually, the real joke is Jake thinking that I would stay with someone who'd pull this," and I walked out. Jake's been blowing up my phone saying that I embarrassed him and ruined Thanksgiving. His family is apparently mad at me for causing drama, but like, I didn't announce a fake pregnancy and traumatize his mom. Am I the butthole for walking out and leaving him to deal with this mess? OP, you'd be crazy not to leave this crazy family. Anyone blaming you is straight up bonkers. Jake also sounds like a really terrible boyfriend. So I'm giving you 0 out of 5 buttholes. I'm giving Jake 2.5 out of 5 buttholes, and the family that judges you 1.5.
That was r/Am I the Butthole. And if you like this content, check out my podcast where I publish the exact same episodes. Also, hit
Olive, you're not being sneaky, ma'am. You're literally on my shoulder.
Welcome to r/Best of Redditor Updates, where OP's husband has been hypnotized to become gay and wants to go on a week-long gaycation with his brother-in-law. Our next Reddit post comes from r/Relationship Advice. I'm a 42-year-old woman and my husband is 42. My husband has informed me that he intends to go on a gaycation with his 35-year-old brother-in-law in Ibiza. How do I handle this? Hi there. I really wish I didn't have to make this post, but here goes. So, me and my husband have been happily married for about 16 years, give or take. We both have stable careers, good family life, and are fairly fortunate despite the cost of living racking up in the UK right now. We have 2 boys, ages 15 and 10, and up until this Sunday, I thought that we had it pretty good. We argue sometimes, of course, but it's never gotten too bad, and we have a pretty decent love life with some exploration, but I won't get into that. Long story short is, on Sunday, just after I dropped our boys off at their friends, my husband asked me if we had the house alone, and more importantly, do I have a minute? I said yes, and he sat me down, and then got out this printed poster for some sort of orgy, and started explaining to me the concept of a gaycation. Alright, please explain it to me because I never heard this word before. This is where straight men go to somewhere with sun, sand, and booze and become gay for the duration of the trip. But that's fine because it doesn't actually count because what happens on the gaycation stays on the gaycation. I was just completely silent and mortified. Even more so when he said that he was looking into booking a trip to Ibiza next year with his brother-in-law, my sister's husband, to experience it for himself. When he finally let me speak, I just said, I need you to be clear with me. Are you gay? Because if yeah, then that's okay, but we need to figure out what happens going forward. I didn't let myself get angry or upset. I was just stunned. He swore up and down that he's not gay and he's 100% attracted to women. And of course he still loves me and our boys. So I said, well, do you think you're bi, maybe? And he got very defensive, saying how I need to drop the accusations and that this is the beauty of the gaycation. It allows straight men to experience gayness without actually being gay, and how it's like going to an aquarium. And again, he was adamant that he doesn't find men's bodies or genitalia exciting at all, but he needs to experience this, apparently. I said, well, I'm not really comfortable because even if he was bi, this would explicitly be him cheating on me. And he got angry and reiterated that he's not, because that's the beauty of the gaycation. I just had enough and left the room. I ignored him for the rest of the day, but we spoke at tea. Sorry. This is just so British.
Huh?
But we spoke at tea where I asked him again.
Is that not the one with the lights on it? You said the middle mouse. That was the cheapest.
No, the middle mouse wasn't the cheapest of them, but it had a light to show what how high the battery was.
What the fuck? I thought I grabbed... Because you said to click the middle one. That was the $16.99 one, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Let me... Where's the mouse? Okay, yeah. I clicked on that one specifically. You said that one, right?
That's not the middle. This is the middle. The one with the lights on it.
Oh. Okay. I'll rebuy that one for you.
No, it's okay.
I don't mind.
It's too late now. It's mainly just just so I can see the battery, just because I don't really like my mouse dying in the middle of crap.
Yeah.
Guess I'll try to remember to put it on the charger every night or something.
I don't mind buying you it.
No, it's too late. Also, what does the middle mean for you? The one on the end?
Well, because when I clicked on the link, the first time when I clicked on it, it showed the $16.99 was the middle option.
Why? Because it wasn't for me. And it wasn't right there.
Well, because I clicked on it. Hold on. Let me show you. Like when... I guess because when you linked it to me, it did link the one you wanted. But I didn't know that. That's why I asked. I was like, which one is it? Because it looks like this initially. So you had linked me the color that you wanted initially.
Yeah, that's why I linked it like that.
And then you clarified the cheapest one. I was like, oh, okay, that's the
No.
cheapest one. I'm sorry.
It's fine.
Welcome to r slash. Yo, is that really what British people do? They fight and they don't talk to each other all day, but they're still so British that they have to get together to drink tea? Okay, when I asked him again, why does he want to go so bad if he's not gay? He said he's interested in how gay men's lives differ to straight men's, and that unfortunately, once the gaycation begins, it's simply impossible for a man to resist. And he and he must surrender himself, mind, body, and soul to the gaycation, or he would be destroyed. I really can't put into words how surreal this was, because he was speaking so matter-of-factly. And he again insists that this is a thing that straight men do all the time, and how he's actually doing it a bit late. I just said to him that if he has any love for me, then he can't go ahead with this, and if he does, the marriage will be dead. We didn't speak anymore after that. Since then, he's mentioned no more of it. But somehow, and this is what scares me a lot too, that decision genuinely seems to be tearing him up. He didn't go to work on Monday because he told them that he just felt too ill, and he looks distraught every time I see him. I really don't think that he's wholly gay though. I can absolutely believe that he's bi. But I'd rather we talked about that in a healthy way rather than this incredibly weird denialism about going on a sex holiday to Ibiza. Has anyone known straight guys to do this and come back and just go back to being straight? Like, surely that can't be a thing that happens. I'm so out of my depth here, and I just don't know how to even initiate the conversation. For the record, I also haven't mentioned this to his sister yet. I don't know how I would even break it to her. Man, I can't believe I'm saying this, but I have read a similar story about this. The guy who went to, where was it? Idaho, I want to say, and the elevation made him gay? Like, that was a gaycation, I guess. Maybe Ibiza also has high elevation. Where even is Ibiza? It's in Spain. Okay, maybe high elevation Ibiza in Spain just turns people gay, like Idaho. Then, then OP posted an edit, which I've got to read to you guys. I see a lot of people asking about the aquarium thing, and at the risk of doxing myself, there's a pretty famous aquarium in the UK called The Deep. At the very end, you walk through a tunnel that goes underneath the main fish tank, so it's quite immersive, I suppose. My husband explained the aquarium thing, and that it's a bit like that. You go there and you observe the fishes. You even get a bit up close, but you never actually enter the water, as in get emotionally invested, or become a fish, as in become gay, so it doesn't really count. It was a very bizarre analogy, and I pointed out it still makes no sense, and he just got more in a huff and how I just don't get it. And frankly, I still don't. And then one day later, OP posted an update. So after I posted, I contacted my husband to tell him that he would not be staying at home tonight, and a bag would be waiting for him. As you can imagine, we argued quite badly. I won't go into specific details, but now I'm 100% on board with the fact that at minimum he's bi, and he might even just be gay altogether. We've had arguments in the past, but I've genuinely never seen him have such a childish tantrum before, screaming about how I just don't understand the gaycation. I absolutely despise that phrase now. And he's insinuating that I'm actually homophobic because I refuse to allow him to participate in this cultural exchange with the gay community. A lot of you said to ask him if it'd be acceptable if the roles were in reverse. And I said, would it be acceptable if I went and slept with other guys during that week? And like clockwork, he was very angry and offended, saying that it's completely different because a gaycation means nothing, and what happens on the gaycation stays on the gaycation, so it doesn't actually count. Whereas I would just be straight up cheating. Emphasis on the word straight. Well, I turned that around on him. No, but you see, what happens in Manchester stays in Manchester. It doesn't mean anything. It doesn't count. It's like bird watching. And I think I got through to him. He went all quiet and then started crying, admitting the thoughts of me sleeping with another man is destroying his heart. But relationships need sacrifices. So he agreed, while in tears, that when he goes on the gaycation, I'll get one week in Manchester to do whatever I want. He doesn't want to, but that's fair in a twisted way, he supposed. I told him to get out of my house. Thankfully, he left without a fight. I know it's incredibly petty, but I also drained the joint bank account, which is legal in the UK, so he couldn't try to use it against me. About an hour later, I got rang up by his mom, my mother-in-law, who just screamed and screamed at me about being a cheating whore, how I was horrible, what about the kids, etc. I'm sorry, this post is really funny. When I finally got my composure back, I just said, ask your son about the gaycation. Obviously, at first, she got angry, but I said, no, just ask him about the gaycation. He'll explain. But she called me an effing joke and hung up. Later on in the evening, I got another phone call from her in a flood of tears. She was very apologetic, and I told her she doesn't need to be the one to apologize. She was so upset that she put my father-in-law on the phone, who, while he sounded calm, I could just tell that he was on a warpath. Again, he was very apologetic and said that he overheard the phrase gaycation. And he asked my husband, and my husband initially said, no, it's nothing, before explaining that it's a modern thing that men do. And he gave he gave them the same spiel about how what happens on the gaycation, men can't resist the gaycation, and how a man must surrender to the gaycation. I'm sorry, I'm laughing. I suddenly got the image of the father being like, you know, honey, I think that I should go with our son on the gaycation and make sure that nothing inappropriate happens. I think I'll book a suite. My father-in-law just told him to leave or he'd call the cops. He didn't care where my husband went, but he wasn't staying there. My husband tried to call me while I was on the phone, but I just ignored it. And my father-in-law just said that he was so sorry for me, and they have my corner in this. But I told them to also be there for their daughter because it sounds like my brother-in-law is involved. My husband didn't tell them that. And my father-in-law just said that he had to go because he was so angry. I got a text from my husband after the phone call, which was weirdly rambly, saying about how I'd abused the vacation to destroy his marriage and destroy his life. And again, he insinuated that I and his parents were homophobic for doing such a thing. I told him that we'll talk when he grows up, and I blocked his number. I took a day off work myself to have the locks changed this morning, so that's 500 pounds gone, but whatever. At least I know that he won't be coming back. I'm going to look into how to proceed with the divorce, and then we'll move from there. Oh, and of course there's also the brother-in-law. So I haven't yet met with my sister-in-law. We're going to maybe try tomorrow, but we did talk over the phone, and I eavesdropped on the conversation with her husband, where she put the phone on speaker and I went on mute. Her husband got home earlier. She made him come home, told him there was an emergency, and just said to him, "Can you please explain to me what a gaycation is?" She told me afterwards that she was praying that he would look confused or just be like, "What?" or anything like that. But instead, he just sat her down and explained that a gaycation is a new thing where straight men go to gay hotspots and participate in gay sex acts, but it doesn't count because there's no investment, and because what happens on the gaycation stays on the gaycation. He said he said that it's like writing down angry thoughts and putting them in a drawer. You never have to see them again. Yo, these analogies are killing me. The whole time, my sister-in-law is in tears as he just calmly bats off the same points that my husband did about how it doesn't count, and he even did the whole "it's impossible to resist" thing. You must surrender or be destroyed. I seriously think they must be speaking to a dominatrix or something. Are there even gay male dominatrixes? Because surely neither of them are that into this to actually make this up on their own. I really don't want to go into what was discussed, but it did become very apparent to me that my brother-in-law is into oh geez, sissy hypno adult videos, and at times conflated that with the concept of a gaycation. There was this utterly surreal moment where my sister-in-law was just trying to wrap her head around this while also in a flood of tears. And he explains so genuinely, so matter-of-factly, that for most men, the gaycation is either a one-time or an annual thing. But then some men go on gaycation for years, and others simply never return, because they use hypnosis and mind control to be totally feminized into a state of permanent pseudo-gayness. My sister-in-law said in disbelief, "Surely, if you're taking it up the butt willingly because you want to, that makes you gay." And he said, "No, because that's the beauty of the gaycation. You can do all this gay stuff, but you don't interact with the wider gay life experience." She asked him if what the sissy stuff is what he wanted, and he said, "Not on a long-term basis," and was adamant that this is something that all straight men do, but she wouldn't get it because she's a woman. There were more insinuations of homophobia. Well, that marriage is dead too, I suppose. The whole ordeal ended when she said to him that he had a choice to make, and he said, no, he doesn't need to make this choice because the beauty of the gaycation is that it allows him to keep his marriage because it doesn't count. She said, that's not the choice. The choice is whether he's leaving the house that night or she is. The only good thing that came of this is that he did leave. Me and my sister-in-law spoke about it after that, and I'm just still utterly stunned. I understand that she's gone to her parents for supports. What exactly did we do to have our lives destroyed in such an abrupt, bizarre, embarrassing way? All right, I feel kind of bad about this. The story was actually really funny, but also really sad. These two women are having their lives destroyed by this, so I kind of feel like I should apologize. It's just the fish analogy and the drawer analogy and the hypno stuff is, oh man, it was just too much for me. It honestly kind of sounds like the hypnosis stuff is working, that he doesn't have a choice because he's just being hypnotized into being not gay sissy, I suppose. All right, to all my gay listeners out there, this is a very genuine question I'm asking you, because this is the second story I've read about this. Is this a thing where, like, I don't know, you go to the gay nightclub and then a couple of dudes come in and they're like, hey, hello everyone, we're here on gaycation. We would like one homosexual experience, please. No more, no less. And then they just leave and then they're gone? Is that, like, does that happen? Our next Reddit post comes from r/relationships. I'm a 37-year-old woman, and the guy that I'm dating, who's 36, has a shrine to my ex-husband in his house. I was married for 7 years to a celebrity. I put the word celebrity in quotes because while most of you have never heard of him, he's an A-list in the world of metal music. If you're a metalhead, you 100% know who he is. We split up amicably because he was always going on tour. I used to love going with him, but the thrill of it wore off, and I found myself sick of traveling so much. Because of this, we grew apart, but still kept in contact occasionally because despite the fact that our marriage didn't work, he's a really cool, nice person. 2 weeks ago, I met a guy through a friend that I immediately hit it off with. We've been on 3 dates so far. The first 2 dates were drinks after work. He showed up in nice khakis and a button-down shirt both times. On our latest date, I went to his house to watch a movie. Literally just watch a movie. We're taking the physical stuff slow, lol. He has a nice house, so I asked for a tour. After he showed me the upstairs, he said that he had to show me his game room. We went down into a fully furnished basement with a pool table, a mini bar, and darts. But there was something very weird down there also. Apparently, my new man is really into metal music. I would have never guessed it based on how he dresses. And his favorite artist of all time is, you guessed it, my ex-husband. He had framed posters of all of my ex's bands, autographed signature guitars. Every record he's ever released were framed on the walls. He even had magazine articles about him and some of his bands framed. Every wall in his game room was covered with my ex's face and his signature guitars. So I may have messed up here, but I kept my mouth shut and didn't say anything. He knows that I'm divorced, but he definitely doesn't know that I'm divorced from this guy. We're seeing each other tonight for our 4th date, and I know that I need to tell him, but how? I really like this guy, but I'm afraid if I tell him, he will freak out and run. What should I say? How should I tell him? I just don't want to damage our relationship because I can really see it becoming long-term. I know I should have told him at his house, but honestly, I was in shock. Anybody know how to approach this? Okay, man, I'm kind of relieved that someone is pointing this out in the comments because this was my first thought immediately. Pagan Princess says, I find it really hard to believe that he is a shrine of your ex-husband to the level that you're describing, but doesn't know who you are. Maybe I'm jaded, but it just seems too coincidental and potentially unsafe for you. Then OP replies, a lot of people are saying this, and now I'm a little freaked out. I mean, he can Google my ex and find out that we were married. Now I'm scared that he did. I'm gonna ask my friend who introduced us if she told him. Sanashi says, have you ever been in photos with your ex-husband that this new guy might have seen? I find it hard to believe that in this day and age that he wouldn't know who the former wife of his idol is. OP says, this never dawned on me until I posted it, but there are pictures of us all over the internet. Now I'm a little freaked out that he already knew. Then 8 days later, OP posted an update. So I met the guy at a restaurant and we had some wine first. We were just talking and chatting, and I realized that I had to bring up the ex-husband thing. So while we were both 2 glasses of wine in, I decided to just ask him flat out if he knew that I was previously married to his favorite musician. He laughed nervously and said, yeah, I knew, but my friend didn't tell me about it. I just figured it out. He basically told me that he found out through the grapevine and he decided to start mingling with my friends so he could meet me. He told me that, yeah, at first it was just because I was married to his idol, but now he's really developing feelings for me. I thought it was a little odd, but I felt fine with it until I remembered his man cave basement. I asked him that if he knew that I was married to his favorite musician, then why the hell would he bring me down there and show me all that memorabilia? His response was too weird for me. He said, I was trying to see if you would confess. I was like, confess to what? And he said, to being married to your ex. I told him that I thought that it was pretty concerning that he tried to trick me into some weird confession and that I didn't think that we would work out. He accepted it and didn't seem upset or anything. Dinner had already been served, so we started eating when he proceeded to bombard me with questions about my ex. When is he releasing new material? What's his favorite band? What does he do during the day of a show? Is he vegan? What's his mother's maiden name? Okay, I made up that last one, lol. Blah, blah, blah. Finally, he could sense my discomfort and we ended the dinner and parted ways. He said that he would text me the next day just as friends, which I said was okay. Well, his text the next day was trying to get him and his friends VIP passes when my ex comes near us to play. I didn't respond and I blocked his number because he kept texting again and again, begging me for the hookup. It was desperate and weird. Anyway, I called my ex to warn him about this dude, even though he seems harmless. The guy doesn't know where I live, and I didn't get any psycho vibes.
Weird.
I think he just wanted me as a trophy, as one user said in my last post. Ew. Thanks, Reddit. OP, you seem a little naive, which is kind of surprising. I would imagine someone who's been on, like, heavy metal music tours with a very popular artist would probably have a much more jaded view of, like, people, because I sort of, I've never been on tour, but I imagine there's a lot of drugs and intercourse and kind of crazy behavior. The vibes I'm getting is that this dude is going to peel the skin off of you, wear it as a suit, and then try to use your skin to hook up with your ex. So I think you made the right decision there, lady.
That was r/best of Redditor updates. And if you like this content, check out my podcast where I publish the exact same episodes.
Am I the Butthole, where OP is abandoned by her father, and then that father comes back 20 years later asking for a kidney? Am I the butthole for refusing to donate my kidney to my estranged father who abandoned me as a child? Yo, I feel like the title kind of tells us everything we need to know about this one, but let's read it anyways. I'm a 28-year-old woman, and I was raised by my mom after my dad walked out on us when I was 5. He left to start a new family and had little to no contact with me growing up. He never paid child support or even called on birthdays or holidays. For years, I struggled with feelings of abandonment, but I eventually moved on and built a life without him. Fast forward to now. Out of the blue, I get a call from his wife telling me my father is very sick and needs a kidney transplant. She told me that I'm the best match and begged me to get tested. Apparently, his other family members aren't compatible. I told her no. I don't owe him anything after the way he treated me. He made his choices when he abandoned me and my mom, and I feel no obligation to put myself through a major surgery for someone who's essentially a stranger to me. Since then, I've been bombarded with messages from his side of the family, calling me selfish and heartless. They say that I'm letting him die out of spite, and that I need to be the bigger person. Even my mom thinks I should consider it, not for him, but to avoid carrying guilt if he passes away. But I don't feel guilty. I feel like he's reaping what he sowed, but part of me wonders if I'm being too harsh. Am I the butthole for refusing to donate my kidney to the father who abandoned me? I saw some comments down below saying that OP should just say that she got tested and that she wasn't a match to just get them off their back. But I feel like the better solution would be to say that you got tested, say that you're a match, but be like, nah, I think I'll just keep my liver. OP, you get 0 out of 5 buttholes. I'm giving your dad 4 out of 5 buttholes. Am I the butthole for closing my door on my neighbor's face because she really needed peanut brittle? I'm a 20-year-old guy, and I still live with my dad at his house. My mom was in a lengthy battle with breast cancer, and she passed away in August. It wrecked me on so many levels that I was not prepared for. On top of losing my hero, I felt like I should stay with my dad to be here with him and support him. One way to support him is to keep up with traditions and recipes passed down from my mom. When my mom was alive, she would make peanut brittle, fudge, double chocolate crinkled cookies, and she would make like 30 batches of them to put in containers and hand them out to family, friends, me and my siblings' coworkers, and of course, the neighbors. This is my first real year of making all these sweets by myself, and I'm not really committed to doing all this baking, especially when I'm in college, as well as balancing a job and a side hustle, and I have to make more money. I'm just so damn sad with the grieving and too tired from school and work to do loads of batches. In fact, the only reason I'm making these sweets is because they're yummy, I can't lie, and I know that my dad would appreciate them. I just started to attempt to make them. I've only made 2 small test batches, and they were good. Not as good as Mom's, but this is where my neighbor knocks on my door. I answer expecting like a Christmas card. And she said, "Hi, I was wondering if you had any of that peanut brittle done." I explain, "Oh yeah, I'm trying to perfect the recipe, but I don't know if I can send them out this year." And then she said, "Oh, your mom is really slacking behind this year." And at this point I'm thinking to myself, does she not know that my mom passed away? So I'm like dumbfounded that my neighbor can't put 2 and 2 together that my mom isn't able to make peanut brittle. So I tell the neighbor that my mom
They did
passed
what?
away in
Named
August,
Voltron.
and she looked
There's
at me with like a
Voltron?
surprised
Voltron's my
expression.
name.
Oh
She
my
said
God.
with like almost a confused tone, "So you're not making peanut brittle at all? How about tomorrow?" At this point, I just closed the door, and my hands are in fists because I'm about to break down in an ugly cry and other bad emotions. My dad finally comes out of his room and asks who it was. Was it a package? And I tell him it was the neighbor wanting peanut brittle. And he looked confused, and he told me, "You haven't even figured out the right temperature yet," in like a joking way. But right as he said that, my neighbor texted him saying that I was being snarky to her, so I tell him the full story. He gets teary-eyed because we're still grieving my mom, and he was like, "I guess that just means more peanut brittle for us." Yo, this is crazy. Walking to a
That's
neighbor's house and
cruel,
demanding
dude.
free food is already pretty bad. That's pretty audacious. But then finding out the cook is dead and being like, "Can you cook it anyways? I'm hungry," is crazy. Yo, is this woman psycho? OP, you get an easy 0 out of 5 buttholes. She's lucky she didn't get cursed out. I'm giving the neighbor, gosh, I don't know, 3 out of 5 buttholes? Am I the butthole for telling an Asian man that his dick probably isn't big enough for me to enjoy anyways after he stated that I'm not a beauty standard? I'm a 27-year-old Latina woman with brown skin and an average-sized body. Yesterday, I was at the mall with 2 of my friends, both white girls. We were shopping at Macy's when 2 Asian guys walked up to us and started flirting directly with my friends. One of my friends, Kate, is in a relationship. My second friend, Emily,
I
is
remember
single.
this
The
one.
guys proceeded to ask Kate and Emily to hang out sometimes, and even asked to exchange numbers. Kate informed both guys that she was already taken, and told them that I'm single and free to mingle. The one guy who apparently called dibs on Kate gave me an awkward look and said, Yeah, I don't think that would work out. Curious, I asked what he meant by that. What he said next didn't shock me. He said that he was looking for someone who would fit the beauty standard and would be good enough to maybe be introduced to his parents. I chuckled and said, "Well, that's okay. I'm sure your buddy down there isn't big enough for me anyways." I pointed at his private area. The two Asian guys and my friends were all stunned by my response. I told the girls to meet me in the footwear area when they were done with the guys and walked off. Later, as they were driving home, Kate told me that my response was sort of immature and stereotyping, and not all Asian guys have small areas. I told her that I wasn't going to just stand there and allow this prick to insult me. She said that I can't expect every guy to find me beautiful and attractive. I told her that they don't have to find me beautiful, but to stand there and insult me and make rude comments like that is something I will never stand for. The rest of the ride home was quiet. Was I wrong? Am I the butthole for canceling our wedding after my fiance said something
I remember listening to that one with Hydra, and sure, the whole like the Asian guy having a small penis is also racist. It's really racist to also like tell that girl that she wouldn't fit the beauty standard because she's like Latino and everything, which basically is telling her that she's not white enough to take home. And like, why is she being called racist but he's not? You know, like, come on.
disgusting about my little brother? I'm a 31-year-old man, and my fiance, Karen, is 32. We're about to get married in a bit more than 6 months. Everything started to go bad when we talked about the guest list.
Ugh.
Karen had been saying for a while that she didn't.
It's no fault of mine, because I keep getting SVP. I should not be getting more kills than the DPS as a fucking Jeff.
Yeah, my friends are playing Marvel Rivals right now. If you want to see if maybe they'll let you join their team.
This is gonna be great.
Didn't want my little brother, Chad, who's 26, to come for a while, but she wouldn't give me a real explanation. I've told her many times that my brother's presence was absolutely non-negotiable though. For background, Chad and me have always been super close. Our parents weren't abusive or anything, but they weren't really the serious kinds of parents. They would often drop us off at grandma's to go party. And as soon as I was old enough to take care of us both, they just left the house and they left.
Is the game lagging bad?
Like at least a couple times each round.
Well,
everything like freezes and
yeah.
starts running in place.
Well, the last time I streamed the game, you weren't really having issue though.
I don't know, maybe
I don't know.
the thing right now. I'm about to disconnect completely.
Ugh. Because I'm not even playing a game with it. I'm just drawing this time.
Left bro for me to handle. This is a trash way to treat your kids, sure, but at least it allowed us to bond super close. I'm not exaggerating when I say that he's my favorite person in the whole world. I would take a bullet for him, and I think the only people who could brag about being as loved as I love him are my future kids. So, yeah, my baby brother's presence at my wedding is not something I'm willing to sacrifice at all. Now, a few days ago, the topic of the guest list came back on the table, and Karen said one more time that she doesn't want Chad there. I was getting really pissed at this point, and I told her there wouldn't be a wedding at all if he isn't there, so she had better drop it or leave. Then I asked her why the hell she doesn't want him there in the first place. So this B word tells me that she doesn't want a F slur on her wedding day and that her family doesn't approve of this lifestyle. I was like, did she really just say that? I knew she wasn't exactly the progressive type, but it never got that far. Like, my brother is the sweetest, kindest, purest soul on earth. I couldn't believe that she would hate him so much for something so trivial. And yeah, Chad is bi. He came out to me when he was 20, and he looks so damn...
Absolutely fucking brain dead.
Ugh.
It's like frustrating how brain dead they are.
Yeah. I'll play some after stream.
Am scared. I told him that I loved him no matter what, of course, and I promised myself that I wouldn't let anyone make him feel that scared or hurt ever again. And I couldn't even imagine that woman in the same room as him after what she just said. I don't know, protective big bro instincts kicked in, and I told her we're effing done. I asked her for the ring back, which she reluctantly gave, before telling her she had 10 minutes to pack her things and get the hell out of my house before I call the cops. Obviously, I canceled everything and told everyone who would ask the exact reason why Karen and I are done. Sweet Chad obviously heard about this, and he even told me that it's not a big deal if he's not there. He just wants me to be happy. I told him that my big day is meant to be the happiest day of my life, and it wouldn't be without him. And I certainly can't be happy with someone like Karen, given who she really is. Well, now she's back at her parents' house, and some of our mutual friends have really distanced themselves from Karen. I got a lot of texts from her family, each one more hateful than the previous one,
Excuse me,
and
Gray.
I just blocked them all. Karen, on the other hand,
You're stinky. Not me. You're smelly. Welcome in. Stretch.
hasn't been really aggressive or anything, just alternating between guilt tripping and crying, saying how I ruined her life, and that she can't believe that I ruined our 4-year relationship over one word. But not once has she apologized for what she told about Chad, so I know even more that I don't want to do anything to do with her anymore. So yeah, maybe I'm the butthole, but I don't think so, and honestly, I think she deserves every part of the backlash she's getting. She has to face the consequences of her hatred, and it's great that her true self has been revealed to the world, in my opinion. Who even says that in Seattle anyways? Yeah, I think what's going on here, OP, is that she got close enough to the wedding that she felt comfortable in letting the mask slip. And she's been, silently judging both you and your brother for your entire relationship, and finally the truth came out. So ultimately, if she's not going to support the people that you love, then she can go pound sand. OP, I'm giving you 0 out of 5 buttholes. I'm giving Karen 2 out of 5 buttholes. Am I the butthole for canceling on our family cruise? So my parents wanted to do a cruise for the holidays. They invited me, a 25-year-old woman, my boyfriend who's 27, my brother who's 28, and his girlfriend 26. My brother, James, has always been the golden child. Back in high school, when James was discovered to be selling pills, he was just going through a phase. Meanwhile, when I got caught smoking weed, my parents threatened to kick me out. James lost his scholarship and dropped out of college 3 different times, but he's still perfect. I graduated a semester late, and I didn't try hard enough. James still lives in the state where he's attending college, and I live in my home state near my parents. He doesn't work, and he's not currently in school. My parents buy him flights all the time to come visit, but they don't buy me a flight to go see him or go anywhere else. My parents send him money for rent and life necessities. He bought a $2,000 dog recently with that money. When I got my first big job at the age of 22, my parents immediately kicked me off their insurance since I had the option of benefits. James was on their insurance until he turned 26. Last
I don't know why it's having such an issue. Because you were doing fine earlier, too, it feels like. And now all of a sudden it's getting worse. I wonder if we should look into upgrading the Wi-Fi, maybe? If you think that
I
would...
don't think so, because you and Yang are fine.
Yeah.
It's literally just me. I think it has to be my hardware.
I wonder if we can get some, like, Wi-Fi extenders for your computer, then.
I don't know. I'll probably have to get my own extender or something,
Because on mine, I've got those little antennas.
I have it too. I have Wi-Fi extender.
Do you have just...
I have the Bluetooth and
You
the
have
Wi-Fi
2 of
extender.
them on there.
Yeah.
I don't know why yours causes such an issue.
I don't know.
One day we'll figure it out.
Because I shouldn't have connection issues because my computer,
It's newer.
it not only is it newer, but it has a pretty good like connection thing in it. So there's no reason that it should be as bad as it is.
Yeah. And it's only with, like, certain games, too. Because
Well,
you don't
it's-
have this...
It's like it was only with certain games until I started playing Fortnite, and then it spread to my Brawl Stars, and now it's like that for Marvel Rivals too.
Brawl Stars?
Not Brawl Stars. I don't remember the fucking
Oh, Brawlhalla?
Brawlhalla.
I know... I got a video earlier. Are you on Windows 11?
Probably.
Apparently there is an issue with Windows 11. I'll try and find that video again. I don't think I favorited it. But, where there's something in it that's been causing issues for people games and stuff. It's supposed to make the game hardware run better, but it's been doing, like, the exact opposite.
It sounds about right.
So you might want to look into that if you have Windows 11, because I think I'm still on Windows 10.
Yeah, mine came with Windows 11. I couldn't.
Yeah, definitely look into that then. Because you can't even downgrade once you upgrade, huh?
It just immediately was like, okay, here's Windows 11. I was like, okay.
Oh, great. That's fine.
I didn't want Windows 11 too, because I know it's like not. It's fucking buggy and shitty.
Yeah.
But what was I to do?
I hate when you get, like, forced updates. Excuse me.
next year, I got laid off and moved back in with my parents to save money. When I got my new job, my parents told me that I needed to pay $10,000 in back rent, which was never discussed previously. I did finish paying it off and recently moved back in with my boyfriend. This has been a pattern my whole life. James gets everything handed to him, and I have to work my butt off. So now, onto the cruise. My parents said they wanted to do this and bought tickets for themselves, James, and his girlfriend. They told me to get my own ticket since I have a well-paying job. I was super upset and told them that it wasn't fair that I was the only one who had to buy their own tickets. My boyfriend couldn't come due to holiday plans with his own family. My parents said that I was acting spoiled and that green wasn't a good look on you. I'm so tired of hearing that phrase at this point. They said that it's not like I had to get a nice room since we'd be outside for the majority of the time anyways, which is true, but then why did James get a nice room? I decided that I had enough and that I wasn't going. But here's where I might be the butthole. I let them continue thinking that I was for months. Then, on the night before they left, they said to get to their house by 8 a.m. so that we could start the drive to the ports. At 8:30 a.m. that day, they start messaging me asking where I am. I texted them, "Since you didn't want to put the effort in to have me join you, I'll be attending my boyfriend's Thanksgiving instead. Have a nice trip with your favorite child." Then I muted the chat. I talked to some friends about this, and some said that it was petty of me to cancel with no warning. And others said that I should have sucked it up and gone since I would have had fun when I got there. They've been on the cruise for a couple of days now, and I'm starting to regret how I handled things. Yeah, I probably would have had fun, and it's not like I couldn't afford the ticket. I also could have handled the delivery better, but at the same time, I'm so sick of them treating me like this. So am I the butthole for canceling on our family vacation? Opie,
Nope.
I hate to point this out, but if you're paying your parents rent and then your parents are giving money to your brother, you're literally just giving money to your brother, effectively. Opie, I think what you should do is, since they went on a Thanksgiving Day cruise, you and your boyfriend should go on a Christmas cruise and post lots of pictures in the group chat of you and your boyfriend's amazing Christmas cruise trip. Opie, I'm giving you 0 out of 5 buttholes. I'm giving your parents 2.5 out of 5 buttholes. That was r/am I the butthole, and if you like this content, check out my podcast where I publish the exact same episodes. Also, hit that subscribe button because I put out new Reddit videos every single day. Welcome to r/off my chest, where OP witnesses her mother murder her sister. Our next Reddit post is from Nearby
What the
Can.
fuck?
This happened over 5 years ago. My sister was 23 and I was 16. I was still living at home and my sister was visiting. Our mother has always been difficult. I don't want to diagnose someone, but she's always had mental problems. My sister had bipolar disorder, but actually took responsibility and managed her disorder. The two of them often
Yeah, it did
clashed.
escalate
I can't
quickly.
remember why it started, but they began arguing. My sister started preparing to leave, but had stopped just before going down the stairs. My mom shoved my sister. Not hard, but just enough to cause her to lose her balance. She fell down the stairs onto the tiled floor. I still remember how it sounded. Almost immediately, my sister started gurgling and seizing, throwing up, and she bled onto the tiles. Mom was screaming, I was screaming, and Mom eventually called an ambulance. They took my sister away and we got into my mom's car driving to the hospital. We didn't talk. We were both crying. When we finally got to the hospital, we found out that she was already being prepped for surgery. They told us to wait and that they'd inform us as soon as there was an update. A few hours later, a doctor came up to us. There was nothing they could do. My whole world crumbled. She was my big sister, my protector and best friend. She took care of me and loved me. I once read that losing your parent is losing your past, losing a friend is losing your present, and losing a child is losing your future. But losing a sibling is losing all at once. It was only my mom and I in the house that evening. We never talked about what happened. But whenever I look at her, whenever I talk to her, I can just think, you killed her. You took her from me. This is the 5th Christmas without my sister. I keep thinking about who she would have been today. Would she have gotten married to her girlfriend? Would she have gotten her degree and followed her dreams? Would she be proud of me? I've been in therapy since it happened, and it's helped a lot. She was also an organ donor, and the thought that parts of her are out there making sure a handful of people get to live is such a comforting thought. I should have told someone the truth about what happened, but there was so much going on. My mind was in such a disarray that it didn't even occur to me. But it wouldn't have changed anything. My sister still did. I miss you, Nia. I miss you so effing much. Oh, OP, talking about this would definitely change one thing. It would put your mom in jail because she's literally a murderer. Well, I think technically she's a manslaughterer, which is still pretty bad. So, I mean, oh God, I hate to give this advice, but I think that's what you should do. You should go to the cops and get your mom arrested because she killed someone. Our next Reddit post is from No Love Anywhere. I've been dating this woman for a year. She has a 15-year-old daughter. She asked me to pick her daughter up from a friend's house on my way home from work. I go to the address she sent. I call her daughter, and her daughter tells me that she's not at that address, and she asked me if I can come to a different address because that's where she actually is. I said okay. She sends me the address and I go. It's like a few blocks over from the original address. I get to the new address and call her again. She comes out, and a grown man walks her to the car. They kiss and she gets in. I ask her, who's that and how old is he? She says that's her boyfriend and he's 26. I didn't say anything. She said, please don't tell my mom. It's our business and we can keep it between us. I didn't say anything. So we get home, and as soon as she went up to her room, I told her mom what happened. Her mom immediately calls her daughter to the living room. She confronts her. The daughter spazzes out, then says that I'm lying. She says that she was at a boy's house, but he's only 15, like her. Then she says that I'm lying because I'm jealous and that I flirt with her when her mom's not around, and she just flat out lied. I'm blown away. Her mom is shocked, just like me. She tells her daughter that she better tell the truth because if this is true, she's going to call the cops right now, and I will immediately be going to jail and have to register as a sex offender. My girlfriend said very sternly that this is life or death, and she better not be telling a lie that will ruin this man's life just so she can sneak around with some grown man. The daughter starts crying and says that she lied and made it all up. It was a terrible situation. In that moment, when she accused me of doing all those terrible things, I wanted to break down and cry. I was grateful that my girlfriend didn't immediately jump to conclusions. I mean, it happened so fast that I thought her mom would immediately be like, yeah, you're going to jail. But she was calm and very clear. She didn't get all crazy. She was just like, okay, let's be honest. I absolutely commend my girlfriend for being calm and not immediately accusing me of doing all that stuff. Yeah, OP, it is definitely a good thing that your girlfriend had your back there and didn't jump to conclusions, but let's be real. You gotta get out of this situation immediately, because if that happened to you once, it can definitely happen to you again. Our next Reddit post is from No Cauliflower. I want to divorce my wife over her hair. Our little girl's wedding was back in October, and it was an effing disaster because of my wife. My wife and daughter had gotten into a fight before the wedding. They seemingly made up a few days before, so we flew down and were gonna stay till after the wedding. When we got there, my wife started complaining about her hair. My daughter was suggesting a few of the salons around New Orleans that would have fit her in before the wedding. My wife asked our daughter if she would just do her hair. My daughter has her beauty license. And my daughter agreed, and that's when the disaster started. My wife's hair was too warm, then too cool, then too warm again. My daughter had done her hair 3 times in a row. This took 6 hours each time because my wife has a lot of hair and she wanted it to be foiled back to back, and I don't know if I've got that phrase right. My daughter said that she couldn't do it again for the 4th time because she didn't want to overprocess my wife's hair and that her body was just killing her. My daughter said that she was becoming burnt out from her nursing job, her hair job, and now all the wedding planning and running around. My wife's 3rd appointment with my daughter for her hair was the day of her wedding, by the way. And before it started, my wife said, "Don't take another 10 hours to do it." My wife became very short and snippy with her and complained about her hair the entire time.
Bro.
She kept sending my daughter pictures of hair colors that she liked and telling her that she colored her hair too gray and cool. My daughter was in tears during her wedding because she said her feet were blistered, so it was hard for her to walk in the heels that she had purchased for her wedding day. Her husband gently asked us if we could go home the day after the wedding, and I of course agreed. I was continuously telling my wife that her hair looked amazing and to leave our daughter alone, but she just kept saying, "This is her job." I snapped at her after her second appointment and said enough is enough. I also learned that my daughter had spent over $400 just on product for my wife's hair. My little girl and her husband make enough to sustain themselves fine and live comfortably, but I know that after their wedding, they wanted to tighten their belt and start saving up for a house because they plan on trying for kids soon. After the wedding, my wife had completely blown up once we got home, saying her hair was a mess and she was gonna have to pay a lot of money to get it fixed. She texted our daughter and laid into her, saying what she wanted wasn't that hard and that she completely destroyed her hair. Our daughter just replied that she's sorry and she hasn't talked to us since. My daughter sent me a happy Thanksgiving text and told me that she loved me, but she
Yeah,
hasn't talked to
shaved
her
the
mom
mom's
since that
head.
text, and she only keeps in regular contact with her siblings. I am so beyond pissed off. My daughter worked hard, coming off a 16-hour nursing shift and then immediately doing her mom's hair for 6 hours and then 2 more 6-hour appointments back to back, and my wife is still ungrateful? This isn't the woman that I married. This isn't the mother that I know. If I have to hear about her precious hair one more time, I'm going to leave, because no hair is worth her relationship with her daughter. Yeah, down in the comments, Miss Scramble has the exact same thought that I had. This sounds like it wasn't actually about the hair. This sounds like she was purposefully sabotaging the week and finding a reason to go after her afterwards. Something else is going on here. Our next Reddit post is from Evie Stevie. Last night, I woke up and realized that someone had butchered my hair. One side is a jagged pixie cut, and the other side hangs awkwardly past my shoulder. At first, I thought that I was losing my mind. Maybe I sleepwalked or something, but no. I confronted my husband, Tim, because he's been acting weird lately, but he denied it. Then he drops this bombshell. My mom, she might have done it. Apparently, my mother-in-law, Diane, is convinced that I've been cheating on Tim. Why? Because last week she saw me having lunch with a coworker. For the record, the coworker, Kyle, is gay, and we were literally talking about work. But Diane decided that I must be having an affair, and instead of, talking to me or Tim, she broke into our house in the middle of the night with scissors and went full Edward Scissorhands on my hair. This morning, I confronted her. At first, she played innocent, but when I pressed her, she literally said, "Well, maybe now you'll think twice before humiliating my son." I was fuming. I told her that my coworker isn't even into women, but she just rolled her eyes and said something like, "That's what they all say." I didn't even know how to respond to that level of delusion. Tim is horrified and apologetic, but I'm struggling here. This woman violated my personal space, destroyed my hair, and acted like she was in the right. I want to go no contact with her, but Tim is stuck between me and his mom, and I feel like this is going to be a huge blow up in our marriage. Then OP posted an update. After the conversation that we had with Diane this morning, I noticed that my husband, Tim, was acting weird. At first, I thought that it was just guilt about standing up to his mom, but it felt like more than that. He's been avoiding eye contact and getting defensive when I bring up what happened. Earlier, I couldn't take it anymore, so I sat him down and told him that he needed to be 100% honest with me about everything. That's when he dropped the bombshell. Apparently, Diane didn't come up with the haircut idea on her own. Tim admitted that he knew about it ahead of time, and even helped her. I felt like I'd been punched in the stomach. He said that he truly thought that I was cheating on him with Kyle, my gay coworker, because Diane convinced him there was too much evidence to ignore. When she suggested cutting my hair as some kind of weird punishment, he didn't stop her. In fact, he let her into our house that night while I was sleeping. Tim said that he didn't want to confront me directly because he wasn't ready for the truth. So instead, he let his mother do this insane thing to me, thinking it would force me to come clean. Afterwards, when I didn't admit to cheating, he started to realize he might have been wrong. But by then, he didn't know how to tell me what he'd done.
He kept saying, "I'm so sorry, I was just confused." But I honestly don't know how to process this. This wasn't just Diane acting like a lunatic, this was both of them. And my own husband betrayed me in one of the most humiliating ways possible. I packed my bag and I'm staying with a friend tonight while I figure out what to do. I don't know if I can ever trust him again after this. It's not just the haircut, it's the fact that he didn't even talk to me, that he believed the worst about me without any proof, and actively participated in something so cruel and violating. As for Diane, she's officially dead to me. I've already told Tim that I don't want her in my life ever again, regardless of what happens between us. Right now, I'm torn. Part of me wants to file a police report on both of them for what they did, but I'm scared of how messy it'll get. Another part of me just wants to cut ties and move on, but that feels like letting them off too easy. I don't know what my next step is, but I do know this. I deserve better than this. Then OP posted an update. First, I contacted a divorce lawyer. I explained the entire situation, including what my husband admitted to and how his mother violated my trust and personal safety. The lawyer was very supportive and walked me through the process of filing for divorce. While it feels daunting, I know this is the best decision for me. I can't see a future where I could ever trust my husband again after what he allowed to happen. Second, I decided to press charges against my mother-in-law.
Good.
I filed a police report for assault and I've documented everything. Photos of my hair, text messages, and the timeline of events. While I'm still nervous about how messy this could get, I refuse to let her get away with what she did. What she did wasn't just humiliating, it was an act of violence, and she needs to be held accountable for it. As for my husband, I've made it clear that I'm done. I've moved out and I will not be returning. I've blocked his mother entirely, and I'm limiting any communication with him to legal matters only. Yo, why would you not just have a conversation like a normal human being? Hey, wife, my mom was out on the town and she saw you with a guy. Oh yeah, that's my coworker, he's gay, you got nothing to worry about. Oh, okay, I see. Like, that's all it took. Instead, this guy goes to secret ninja haircutting assault? Yo, is this guy stupid? Our next Reddit post is from Hell Hath My Fury. My husband cheated on me with her for 3 years, and now, 6 months after I ended things, my husband's mistress shows up on my doorstep crying about how she caught him making plans to meet up with a woman that he met on Tinder. Like, excuse me? She really thought that I would take pity on her for being pregnant and getting cheated on when he was at her place screwing her while I had to deliver our stillborn daughter. I cannot make this up. She's that effing delusional. And she had the audacity to get upset when I just laughed at her. I have no idea why she thought that I would be sympathetic. I guess she thought that since we were both cheated on by the same person, I would see where she was coming from. But I have never given her any indication that I'd be a good person to confide in because I despise her and she knows it. I told her as much, and she started crying about how she was sorry and she regretted everything, that she never wanted to hurt me, which is a total lie. She knew all about me, but she loved him. I just told her to F off and cry about it to somebody else because I couldn't even pretend to feel sorry for her after everything she and him did to me and my kids. I said that we weren't friends just because she was stupid enough to think that she was different. I know that it was cruel and that all this makes me a bad person, but I'm unapologetic. She and my ex screwed with my life and my health, and now her karma is that her delusions were shattered, and that she'll have to deal with both of us for at least the next 18 years. I guess if you're self-centered enough to be a mistress in the first place, then you're also self-centered enough to think, oh, everyone cares about me and my problems. Our next Reddit post is from Proof Department. I'm a 26-year-old woman, and I pooped in my car. This is honestly so embarrassing. I don't want to tell anyone I know, but I have to get this off my chest. I was driving home the other day and felt the oncoming need to use the restroom. I was stuck in traffic about 20 minutes from home. I realized there was really no time left, no exit nearby, and things were going to happen. I decided the best thing I could do was try to poop in one of those dog poop bags that I had in the car. I had to slip my pants off, use them to cover myself since there were literally cars all around, and put the bag in place. I was just in time because emergency hit almost immediately.
It worked really well, actually, but it was mortifying. I'm so embarrassed. I got home and cleaned everything.
Oh,
The worst
man.
part, though, was shortly after my boyfriend got in the car, he asked why it smelled so much like cleaning supplies. I played it I played it off, but there was so
Christian
much secret
closed species
I
lore.
found a really. It's not old, but it's a closed species that are basically just like satyrs with nothing special going on.
Oh,
But they have some lore about, let's see, marriage lore. Intercourse between two varicators is not allowed until they are married, and marriage is the bridge to act and have kids.
what the fuck, dude? Also, yeah, r/stories can really give some fucking
Intercourse
whiplash.
outside of marriage is looked down upon, and it's seen as carnal and very disrespectful.
What kind of marriage?
Varicator marriages are between a biologically male and female varicator, since otherwise they can't reproduce.
Bro, what the fuck?
A varicator can never be divorced even if the other spouse dies. A husband and wife can choose to live apart, but they can never break their ties and can never remarry.
What the hell?
Dating is kept low. Having the status of boyfriend or girlfriend doesn't matter much because you're not married. There's no common rule about dating, but the general consensus is that you don't tell people you're in love and have a special relationship, because dating is not really that different than being siblings or friends. It's just kind of a relationship. Question me?
Huh?
Dating is predominantly a human thing. Humans dating as a precursor to marriage and announcing it to everyone is seen as odd to varicators because it seems like unnecessary commitment. Also, before you ask, this parentheses, yes, there are gay lesbian couples, though they're not common. Whether or not being in a gay relationship is morally correct, in quotes, depends on which varicator you ask, but most don't really care because it's not marriage. What does this mean? What am I reading?
What are you reading? What the fuck?
It's like on a Wix site. They have a Discord and stuff. It's a really small species.
I wonder why.
It's probably because they're not. Because dainties already took the niche of humanoids with deer legs.
Yeah.
As a species, and they're literally the same thing. So so. I love going into the Toy House forums and just finding crap. Okay.
Yeah.
It's really funny. Species
shame.
discussion.
Now, I just have to live the rest of my life knowing that happened. Hey, OP, I thought your boyfriend was gonna say the car smelled like poo? So the fact that it smells like cleaning supplies means you've gotten away with the perfect crime. No harm, no foul. That was r/off my chest. And if you like this content, check out my podcast where I publish the exact same episodes. Also, hit that subscribe button because I put out new Reddit episodes every single day. Also, hit that subscribe.
Oh, listen to that one already. Okay.
Welcome to r/relationships, where OP's new girlfriend gets a giant tattoo of his face on her back. Our next Reddit post is from
Ugh.
Throwaway Inked Up Girlfriend. I've been together with my girlfriend, Kim, for a little over 8 months now. We don't live together, but she only lives about a 5-minute walk from me. I would have described the relationship before this week as pretty slow. Neither of us really wanted any big commitments yet, so outside of date nights, Netflix, and occasional hookups, the relationship has been pretty laid back. That was until last weekend. My birthday was Saturday, and my brother came to town and we were gonna have a small party. I invited Kim, obviously, and she seemed really excited.
Kim claimed that she had spent over a month thinking about what to give me after I surprised her with a pretty expensive present for her birthday. I should have picked up that something was off here when she avoided seeing me face to face for about a week before the party, but I put it down to other things. Well, Saturday comes, and we were having a party with about 9 people. Kim made a big show about getting everyone together because she wanted to give me her present in front of everyone. Well, this is where things get crazy.
Their entire thing was giving a make your own for each ad you post for them. So people went on Toy House and started like spam advertising on every they'd like the forums, the Toy House forums.
Yeah.
They have a thing for design marketplace and stuff.
Yeah.
And people post like looking for ads and stuff. So people were going back and like basically spamming those things, posting an ad for some price.
No.
And they would be going back years reviving old threads.
Bro.
Which if you grew up on any site that uses forums, you know it's in bad taste to revive any thread like older than a few months.
Yeah.
Because at that point unless it's still active, if it's still active it'll be newer, right?
Yeah.
But if it hasn't been active for a few months, then it's bad taste to go out. I think it's because a lot of the younger people also didn't use forums, so like the forum etiquette.
Yeah, forum etiquette isn't really a thing now.
Doesn't really exist because not a lot of places use forums anymore.
I miss forums.
Like there are people who are like spam reviving like years old posts that were like looking for like species and stuff to join.
Jesus.
And it's gotten out of hand. They have like 2,000 make your owns already.
2,000.
Because people just going. That's crazy.
That is crazy. I would have put a hard limit as soon as I found out people were doing that shit. The fuck. Kids these days.
Oh, and people are going into Discord servers to advertise them because it's not just Toy House; it's advertised anywhere. I'm pretty sure.
No.
So people are advertising in like other species Discord servers if they allow it and stuff.
Bro. I'd be so pissed
apparently
off.
Some people had to make a no advertising rule in their servers
Because it got that bad.
people-
That's crazy. What the fuck?
For my birthday present, Kim got a massive tattoo on her back of my face. Underneath the face, there's text saying, "Mine forever." The silence was deafening. It didn't help that the tattoo wasn't even half done. I am not ready for this, and I had to go into the other room just to breathe. During this time, my brother and Kim got into a small fight because my brother called her crazy multiple times. Me and her have been fighting nonstop since then too. She's claiming that I completely disrespected her in front of everyone. And now she's saying that I'm some F-boy who doesn't love me at all. She's refused to come talk.
Oh, hi, Undine. I can restart the Reddit story if you want.
Oh, are you?
We're listening to r/while I draw.
I thought you were just listening to it. Everyone's listening to it.
We're all listening to Reddit stories together.
Reaction streamer profiting off of other people.
Yeah. I didn't want to listen to music this stream, so Hydra didn't know that I was actually listening to r/ stuff. I'm good. How about you? How are you doing? How are you doing? Must hear the whoops I sharded in my car story. That was on the last one. This is a new I don't think Undine wants to hear the shart story. Okay.
talk to me until I and my brother apologize for embarrassing and disrespecting her in front of everyone. This is completely out of
what?
my comfort zone, and I have no clue what to do. My brother's been telling me just to break up with her and ignore her, but I just can't do that. Before Saturday, I did feel a spark with her. I did like her a lot. But this is all just way too much. The top comment from Mystery Science Loser is, "First of all, that's not even a present, LMAO." And then Pilks replies, "The present is that now OP gets to look at himself whenever he's banging her doggy style from this point on. Giddy up." I checked OP's post history, and unfortunately, he never posted an update, so I guess we just have to assume that they're both happily married now, right? I'm a 35-year-old man, and I found a condom wrapper in my wife's car. She's 34. Now what? We've been together for about 10 years, married for 6. We have no kids, but we're planning to start trying soon. We're both very active, going to the gym, eating healthy, and both in relatively great shape. My wife is gorgeous with a phenomenal body, but I would probably consider myself a 5 or a 6 out of 10 on the attractiveness scale. I realize that. But we've always had a really strong relationship. We started as great friends, realized that we were just right for each other, and that developed into true romantic love and devotion. The intercourse was always fantastic. There were never any issues there with quality or frequency. I was washing my wife's car, as I do pretty often. In the course of cleaning the interior, I found an open, empty condom wrapper under the passenger seat. We don't use condoms since she's always been on birth control. I'm driving myself insane with all the stories and scenarios running through my brain. She spends a lot of time at the gym working with weights and doing cardio. Like 3 hours each, 4 days a week, so there are frequent times when we're apart. She's never given me a reason to suspect that she's been unfaithful. I know I have to confront her, but I'm scared to death of what might be the truth. She's my world, and I can't imagine starting a family with anyone else. I'm afraid I'm going to break. Then, one day later, OP posted an update. My wife came home from the gym at 6:45, like always. I was sitting at the kitchen table alone. She came over, said hi, kissed me on the lips, and went off to take a shower pretty much like usual. I'm not gonna lie, when she came over to kiss me, I smelled really hard for any evidence of man scents. Cologne, soap, deodorant, sweat, anything. I got nothing. As she showered, I sat by myself, a ball of anxiety, and damn near chickened out. She got out of the shower and came into the kitchen, wet hair, sweats, t-shirt, looking beautiful as usual. We sat down like we always do and expected to chat about our day. She could see immediately that something was wrong. She asked what was up, and I mean, I was shaking and so nervous like you can't believe. I asked her, "Have you lent your car to anyone recently?" "No." "Have you had any passengers in your car the last few weeks?" She thought for a second and said no. I asked, "Has anyone besides you or me been in your car the last few weeks?" She said, "No. What the hell is going on?" I asked to see her phone. She looked at me weird, said, "Okay," and just slid the phone at me across the table, no hesitation, and said, "What the hell is going on?" I didn't touch her phone. I took the condom wrapper out of my pocket and set it on the table. She looked at it, but had no real visible reaction. I didn't say a word. After a few seconds, she said, "What the hell is that?" I said, "It's a condom wrapper." She said, "It's obviously a condom wrapper. What the hell is a condom wrapper doing on our kitchen table?" She was starting to get annoyed. She's either a really good actor or she sincerely has no idea what was happening. I told her that I found it under her car seat while I was cleaning her car. She honestly looked dumbfounded. She then said that she had no idea how it got there. She really seemed sincere and was starting to get concerned. She asked me if I thought that it was hers. I said, "I'm not sure. Is it?" She said, "You've got to be kidding me. You seriously think that I'm screwing around on you? Are you crazy? What the hell is wrong with you?" She took her phone and waved it at me and said, "Here, please look at my phone. Call my sister," who she shares everything with. "Call any of my friends. I'm not sure what you want me to say." We sat in very uncomfortable silence for a minute or two. I didn't take my eyes off of her, looking for any sign, like tears. I said, "What would you think if the roles were reversed?" She admitted that she would probably be suspicious, but would give me the benefit of the doubt. She literally went through every day the past couple of weeks, where she went, who she was with, what she was doing, trying to come up with an explanation. She finally
Yeah.
remembered that after this work thing they did for a friend of hers, a baby shower type thing at a restaurant after work, one of the girls at her office was invited but couldn't go, and she asked my wife to please take her gifts to the party. My wife said sure. They walked down to my wife's car and put the gifts in, and my wife's stuff was in the front passenger seat. As her friend was putting the gifts in, she spilled her purse all over the floor behind the passenger seat. That was the only possibility that my wife could think of. As I sat there, my wife insisted that she call that friend immediately, and she did just that. She put her friend on speakerphone. She asked her friend if she remembered when she spilled her purse, and the friend said yes. She asked if she was sure that she got everything off the floor, and she said, "I think so. Why?" My wife then seriously asked, "Do you and your boyfriend use condoms?" Her friend kind of chuckled and said, "Yeah?" My wife asked what brand, and she answered, "Trojans," which is the brand of the condom wrapper I found, as well as the same size, too. My wife looked straight into my eyes and asked, "When you dumped your purse in my car, is there a chance that there were condoms in it?" Her friend said, "Yeah, it's not unusual for me to have condoms in my purse. Why?" My wife told her friend about the wrapper. Her friend said that she doesn't know why she would have an empty wrapper in her purse, but it's certainly possible. My wife hung up the phone, looked at me, and asked if I would like to go through her phone. I said no, and she asked, "Mystery solved?" I literally started crying. I was crying because I'm married to the most awesome woman in the world who loves me more than anything. And I was crying because I was racked with guilt that I thought she could be cheating. I felt miserable for how I must have made her feel. My incredible wife took it so well. She hit me with her dish towel and said, "Jesus Christ, I can't believe that you could think that I would cheat on you." But she admitted, again, that she might have felt the same way in my shoes. She even laughed a little and said that it was kind of cute that I was so jealous and nervous about asking her about it. We decided to have a glass of wine and go out for dinner. At dinner, we talked about how excited we were to start trying for a baby. I am 1,000,000% sure that she's telling the truth. I know her. I know her like nobody else. I know her body language.
Yeah, he
I know
is.
her
He's
voice
really
and how it
lucky.
sounds when she's stressed or hiding something. There was none of that. I hope none of you have to go through this, but thanks for all the well wishes. I'll probably let my wife read this thread at some point, but not while it's so fresh. Plus, she'll probably rib me for going to Reddit for advice. She's not necessarily a fan. Our next Reddit post is from Throw Me Away. My ex, Tom, and I had been together for about 4 years, and we were extremely happy together, or so I thought. We had been
Hello?
discussing the possibility.
Yes, ma'am. Can I help you? I hate when you do that to my nose. Oh, it feels so weird. Why do you do this? Oh, my model. Oh, my model's having like. Okay, ma'am. You having fun? Yeah. It does look like she's blowing bubbles. Stop! The sounds are so gross. God. Yes, ma'am. Gnarly. Stop. Oh, yeah? Tell me how you really feel. Stop. You made my cheeks so wet. I hate it. God. What are we going to do for dinner? Yeah. Uh-huh. Disgusting dude again. Don't tempt her. She will. Stop! Stop it! Please! No! Okay, please get off. This hurts. You're squishing me against my desk. Stop.
Hey, Sami. Sami likes it right here.
Yeah, Sami likes sitting on unconventional objects.
She likes sitting on everything.
Yeah.
That's new. Sami.
Olive is sitting below me.
Here's your cat.
My cat.
Here's your
Cat. Whenever you get to making the model, do you want me to find like model videos for how to cut stuff and everything?
I can look it up.
Okay.
I have a brain.
I know you have a brain, but like just in case, because I put one in our chat for the glitter,
I know.
so. Also, make sure to separate the boobies, because I will actually give her jiggle physics.
I know.
Unlike Fay Ray. Fay Ray does not get jiggle physics.
She doesn't have no titties.
She does have titties. She's
She ain't
just
got no titties.
she's just not.
She got no titties.
And she had titties. You're great. Hey yo. Yeah, my rebrand's gonna have jiggle physics, and I'm gonna specifically have I'm gonna make a redeem where you can trigger the highest setting or whatever for the boobs, so where they fucking ricochet across fucking I think that'll be so fucking funny. Just the Girls Gone Wild. That's what I'm gonna call it. Girls Gone Wild. Me. This character can be not say so and everything. And the only way she's not say so is specifically Hey. Hey, Witcher. Okay. Right.
Ability of getting married, and even looking for a house for us to move into, but we're not currently living together. I was happy, and I thought that he was too. We had a lot in common, we never fought, we traveled together, my friends liked him, his friends liked me, our families got along together, etc. I could go on. Everything was fine until our last trip together. We went to a destination where I'd always wanted to go, but because of the cost and distance, it seemed like something that I'd have to wait longer to do. It was his idea for us to go here. We saved a lot of money, and we were able to make it a 2-week trip. Once we got back from this vacation, things started to get weird. After we landed, which was the last time I saw him.
It is gonna be a great redeem idea. I just can't name it boobies because I feel like Twitch would smite me for that. So it's gonna be called Girls Gone Wild.
He told me he was feeling unwell and sick from the trip and wanted to go home to sleep. I didn't think this was too unusual, so we said our goodbyes. I tried texting and calling him the following day to see if he was feeling better, and he didn't respond. I started to worry, but he finally sent me a single text saying that he was fine, but tired after 2.5 days after our trip ended. From here, our communication basically broke down. I can't say that he fully ghosted me because he would occasionally send me a message and didn't remove me from social media. From that point, I tried to contact him by calling, texting, sending a message on Facebook, but he didn't respond. After about 4 to 6 days of no communication, he would end up sending me a couple of texts, and then I wouldn't hear from him for several more days. What hurt even more was that this ghosting period overlapped with New Year's, Valentine's Day, and my birthday. Days on which nothing happened, and he didn't even wish me a happy whatever. I felt like I was going crazy. I had no idea what was going on
I
and just
know,
wanted
right?
some sort of answer from him. I was also extremely embarrassed to talk to anyone about what was happening. I stopped going out as much and didn't really see my friends for the 2 months that he was trickle ghosting me. I found myself lying to my friends and family about his whereabouts, telling them he was busy with work, visiting his family, he was sick, or any excuse I could think of whenever I showed up somewhere without him. I eventually broke down and contacted one of his good friends who I felt comfortable with and asked her to meet up with me. I told her that Tom had barely spoken to me in 2 months, that he's only sent me a few text messages, and I have no idea what's going on. I told her I didn't know if he was mad at me, if we were broken up or still together, or if there was something else going on that I needed to know about. She looked kinda shocked and confused and told me that Tom had told all of his friends that we had broken up and I was taking it really hard, and out of respect for me, not to bring it up if anyone saw me. This was soul crushing to hear, and I felt humiliated and worthless. I told her this wasn't the case and that he never verbally confirmed that we were broken up. She said that she was extremely angry at him and would talk to him. Throughout March and April, I felt like I was starting to heal some. I felt broken, but I started to pick up the pieces again and began to feel a bit more whole. I told my friends and family the truth about what happened, and they were nothing but supportive and helpful. Then I found out some additional information about why he ghosted me and what happened on his end. He had apparently been cheating on me for a while. Not sure how long, but a little less than a year. It also hurt because I know the person he cheated on me with. She's an absolute garbage person. And I'm not saying that as a jaded ex-girlfriend. She's always hung around our friend group, but never really been a part of it. I've heard her say some extremely bigoted things about minorities, the LGBT community, and non-Christians. She's the type of person who's proud to take advantage of government assistance programs when she doesn't need it. She somehow was able to claim disability and has bragged about pulling the wool over the government's eyes. I think she was able to somehow use her obesity problem as her disability. I'm not really sure. I can't really confirm any of this. It could be a lot of talk and BS on her end. I've always thought you need to be drug tested to get government benefits, and she does a lot of drugs. Not only does she take advantage of programs meant for people who can't help themselves, but she's also sent a couple of $1,000s a month from her rich parents, which she also brags about. Her parents pay for her car, and I think they pay her rent too, so the money she gets is spent on pretty much whatever she wants. She spends her days getting drunk at bars and restaurants that my friends and I frequent, and she'll interject herself into our outings. She's also tried to sell us hard drugs in the past, and usually mentions that any of us are welcome to use her place to get high. Tom apparently started to get high with her at her place, and was originally just trying to hide his drug use because he knew that I wouldn't approve. Then he started to get high and passionately hug her. He felt guilty and embarrassed about it, but this wasn't enough for him to stop getting high with her. His intentions were to just get high and then leave to go back to his place. But what would usually happen is they would end up passionately hugging once they were both properly high. This woman hated my guts and kept pushing Tom to break up with me so they could be a couple. He didn't want to end things with me, but felt so guilty and disgusted with himself that he thought the best thing to do was to just try to ghost me. Tom kept the relationship secret for a while, until she got tired of their secret relationship status. So she just started to blurt things out about them when his friends were all together at their usual bar. He came clean to his friends about it, but was so embarrassed that he shortly ended things with her after his secret was out. I only found out about this because the same friend that I met up with a couple of months ago reached out to warn me that Tom is going to try to get back together with me, and she felt that I deserved to know the truth in case he wasn't forward with what happened. There is no way in hell that I'd get back together with Tom. I can't help but feel awful that Tom would end things with me over that kind of garbage person. And I'm having a hard time understanding why he would choose some waste of space over someone who's actually trying to be a person and is successful. I don't know what to do at this point. I'm dreading the possibility of seeing his face again. I don't know if I could contain my urge to slap him, or if I would just break down and sob. I was doing well from moving on from him. I was starting to feel happy again. Now I think I'm back at square one, depressed and stressed out. You know, sometimes I have to wonder if getting broken up with in this way, in such like a gut-wrenching betrayal would be easier than a classic breakup, because once you see just how low your partner actually is, I feel like it'd be easier to be like, oh, okay, he's like, actually, he has a rotten heart deep down, so I can just move on. I don't know. Is it better to get broken up when things are like mutual and kind of happy and you still love the person? Or is it better to have your heart ripped out and be like, oh, okay, this really hurts, but you're garbage, so goodbye? That was r/relationships. And if you like this content, check out my podcast where I publish the exact same episodes. Also, hit that subscribe button because I put out new
/confessions, where OP almost murders his own mother. Our next Reddit post is from Not a Cactus. Last year around this time, my boss was let go in a really nasty sabotage kind of way. I had been doing his job and my old job to prepare to take over for him as he was planning on moving up. He's always worked really hard, and he's been working on business development more and more, and entrusting me with his old responsibilities. Then, one day he called me and said that he had been locked out of everything at work. Our general manager contacted me and told me that I'd be responsible for his position, and I would be laterally promoted. This promotion came with no raise or bonus structure. I would also be in charge of the 2 properties I was already managing before this happened. I knew how much my old boss made and expressed my disappointment in the compensation situation. I was told to F off, basically. I assumed that was because I was next as soon as they found someone to replace me, so I started looking for another job immediately. 1 month passed, then 2 months, then 3. All the while, my clients were loving me, and I was making them a ton of money with very minimal work. Once I figured out some market information, I realized that we could restructure some things that cost us a bit more in payroll, but made up for it tenfold in return on investment. 4 months pass, 5, and I'm sitting around in my office doing nothing. I play computer games 80% of the day, and give my immediate attention to anything that comes my way work-wise. Meanwhile, profits are still rising, and I'm still doing less and less work. No acknowledgments from my direct superiors, despite my clients loving and praising the work that I do for them. Now it's been about a year and I found a new job, one that will challenge me and give me satisfaction. It's with my old boss, who, came to find out, was immediately hired by a competitor at almost 3 times his salary at the company that I still work for. My salary will now double, and I'll be working with someone who I know cares about my development and work. Almost this whole time, I've been playing video games and getting paid a really nice salary to do it. It shouldn't have paid off, but it did. I haven't told anyone that, but here we are. Beneath that, we have this story from Blacklay Dynamo. My job's a bit like this, except I'm pretty well appreciated and treated. It's a full-time job that some weeks takes me like 2 hours a day, tops. Last week, I worked 6 hours on Monday and pretty much cleared my workload for the whole week. Occasionally, we have a manic week, and maybe twice a year we'll do a major project that keeps me busy for 6 weeks or so, but otherwise, I'm kind of just screwing around 80% of the time. Our next Reddit post is from generic
I don't know.
OPM fan.
Whenever
My
I hear
parents
the
broke up very
stories
early.
about people who like get paid to basically just sit around and do nothing because the bosses are so stupid, I'm like, man, I wish I had that job.
And then they say they get bored and stuff, and I'm like, yeah, I wish I could fucking make money for free, you fucking asshole.
It's like, I'm
Oh,
bored. I want to
I'm
have
bored
something
of-
that stimulates me. And I'm like,
bored of making
dude,
money.
I
I'm
would
like,
kill
I'll-
for that.
I'll take your fucking job then.
Dead
You
ass,
can have-
dude.
You can have my job. Yeah, I'm very stimulated. Fuck you.
Yeah.
Oh, I basically make money for free, but I'm bored of it, okay? Get a hobby. Do something.
Yeah. Start fucking knitting at your fucking job or something. I don't know.
Like, figure something out.
Like,
There's, you're making the rest of us hate you. Like, nobody.
for real. Like, I can't feel for
I
you.
won't feel bad for you if you say, I'm bored of my job or I make free
Play
money
Final
all the
Fantasy.
time." Yeah. Like, okay, and what else? Do you have a loving partner that cooks and cleans for you all the time and everything's going great and your house has no issues and everyone loves you? Okay, nigga. Go kill
Perfect
yourself.
family.
Do you have like a
Huge
Hallmark
house,
thing
yeah.
going on?
A
Like, I
Hallmark
don't
thing.
care.
For real.
Go cry to your fucking still alive grandparents, I guess. Who
Nah.
knows? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
And I grew up with my mom. My dad wasn't really present throughout my childhood. My mother has had a drinking problem for as long as I can remember. She's had a rough upbringing, and
Yeah, she's got some killer comments on things sometimes. They catch me off guard, but yeah. She's got good commentary.
Who, me?
Yes. Undine says that you're killing them.
and could only vent her frustration when she
It's
was
okay.
drunk.
You know who else
The
should
way
die?
things went
That nigga
down
with
was
that perfect
always the
life
same.
would be
Around once a month,
who's
she would come home late, waking me in the
bored of
middle of the
being so
night.
perfect and
From then
humble.
on, it was a
Mm.
disaster. She starts
Oh my
yelling,
God.
spitting at me, and beating me. She smears her snot in
I
my
just
face or
make
on my
so
bed
much
sheets
money.
and makes me
I just don't even have to do anything. Okay, go cry on Twitter.
Go girl.
Go
Yeah,
cry on
okay,
any-
Elon.
Yeah, go cry on a hit social media site, X.com. Maybe you should go buy it for $44 billion and then get bullied on it every single day.
Yeah, I was about to say, speaking of Elon, I saw the recent
Oh, yeah, he was getting-
stuff about him.
Yeah, everybody's, even his little right wing.
Oh, he's getting
assholes
fucking
are
dragged on Twitter right now.
4, 5, 6, 7.
Because he wants to protect immigrants,
He said
apparently.
the wrong thing. Basically, it's not that he wants to protect immigrants, but it's easier to get immigrants in tech and pay them less. He wants to abuse how
Immigrants.
work
Yeah.
because immigrants work for cheaper than people in the U.S.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure that's what's going on. It could be. There's several things about immigrants and tech and stuff too, but. And now they're all turning on him because you mentioned immigration. And if you don't say, I want to kill all immigrants, then basically you're Satan to them.
Yeah.
So, it's going great for him.
I love how we're supposedly a nation built on immigrants, but you can't have immigrants here. You don't belong here. And I'm like, as if we weren't fucking immigrants ourselves originally. Well, I say immigrants, but more like stealers, colonizers, settlers, whatever the fuck. Even
Well,
still.
to be fair, you can. It's crazy because I don't even know if this even happened in the history of the world, but like you can settle somewhere and not chase out all the native people.
Yeah.
But humans are just so incredibly
Shitty.
greedy and shady that we have to, even though there is literally no reason to. But
For real.
you know what? That's like chill and stuff. Like settling and
Like saying that because a book says so that you were owed the rights to a specific land. Like, that's not how that fucking works, my dude.
the Bible
Just
from
because
the
it said
devil.
that, like, hundreds of years ago does not mean it, like,
This is
counts
too
now.
Political for me.
It's too political.
You're a VTuber.
I
Not be talking about this. I like, you know that meme, that Family Guy meme that they faces nobody give a fuck? That's how I feel when VTubers start talking about politics and stuff. They faces
listen.
why nobody give a fuck.
Why nobody give a fuck?
1, 2, 3, 4,
Whoa.
5, 6, 7, 8.
Okay.
sleep on it. One second, she yells in my face that she hates me, that my father and grandma hate me, that it's all my fault, and in the next second, she starts crying and says that she loves me. An emotional roller coaster. This always goes on for the whole night. I don't remember too much, but ironically, the most prominent memories are the ones from when I was very young, maybe around 5 or something. One night, I had to stand facing the wall the whole night while she screamed at me. I was so tired since I was just a little kid, but every time I tried to sit down, she would hit me. Sometimes I had to do squats while pulling at my ears.
You know you messed up when an angry Austrian painter looks up to you how you handled the natives. Yeah. Yeah.
Making me look really stupid. Apart from the fact that it was humiliating, she made me do them until I collapsed from the pain. Then she shouted at me to continue. A weird thing she did was she frequently pretended to choke to death in the middle of a rant. She then would lay there motionless for 10 minutes straight. As a 5-year-old, I was completely in panic and had no idea what to do. I tried to wake her up, but she didn't respond at all until she suddenly jerked up and resumed shouting and hitting at me for not helping her. Luckily, she stopped pulling that once she saw that I got too used to it. As I got older, she got more and more violent. But the only times I was really scared for my life was when she got the kitchen knife while fighting with her now ex-fiance. Luckily, no one was ever stabbed. I could go on, but you get the idea. I never got any help because I was so used to all this stuff. And of course, my mother told me to never tell anyone. Whenever I brought up her behavior the next morning, she claimed that she couldn't remember, said that I was over-exaggerating things, or outright claimed that I was making stuff up. Sometimes she apologized that she would never do it again, but I just stopped listening after a while. School was pretty awful as well. Then it happened. She came home drunk one morning while I was getting ready for school. She didn't get much of a reaction out of me these days, and she didn't seem to like that fact. I was 15 years old at the time and getting physically stronger than her, and I was used to the shouting. Also, I was basically dead inside. I was completely nonchalant when she started her rant. Then she said something about my ex-girlfriend. What she said wasn't really all that bad, but it was a weak spot for me since she recently broke up with me. That was my first relationship, and I was the one who messed it up. That was the last straw. All these effing years of constant abuse and neglect unloaded themselves in that one moment. Humans can be animals. It was like watching a movie from a third-person perspective. I had no control whatsoever. I screamed while grabbing her throat and squeezing with all that I had. I somehow strangled her across my whole room onto the bed. My big and scary mother, whom I was always afraid of, wasn't able to fight back against my rage. Not one bit. Now thinking back, she even looked kinda scared. So she was on her back on my bed, and I was standing above her, squeezing her throat. I have no idea how long that went on. Maybe a few seconds, maybe half a minute. Everything felt so surreal. At some point, my brain kicks in. Do you really want to do that? I got a hold of myself and let her go, which was a mistake. She instantly grabs a chair and starts swinging it at me full force. I mean, yeah, I technically tried to kill her, but now I just want to get out of this alive. I block it and it messes up my arm. Then she effing bites me in the very same arm, and Jesus Christ, that hurts. The bite later swole to the size of a ping pong ball. Anyways, I managed to get the hell out of that apartment. But then I ran the risk of freezing to death since we had winter and I was wounded and had nothing on me but pajamas. I encountered a neighbor and asked him to call the cops. I told him what happened, leaving out the strangling part. And after the neighbor saw my wounds, they informed my mother that I'm being taken into care. My mom makes a pathetic attempt of trying to put on an act, but snaps halfway through and bites an officer. She gets wrestled down and arrested on the spot. It was honestly hilarious in hindsight. She played the victim and called me a traitor for calling the cops on her, but got out later on. She did have to pay a huge fine for attacking the officer. I moved out into government care. It was honestly cool. At the age of 15, I had my own apartment with free rent, 400 euros per month to do whatever the hell I wanted, and social workers that were pretty decent people. Shout out to German CPS. However, things caught up with me. My depression worsened badly, I started to drink a lot, and later that year, I tried to drown myself. That was rock bottom for me. I've had bad phases since then. There were nights where I wanted to die, nights where I wanted to pay my mother a visit and get my revenge, and nights where I didn't want anything at all. However, all in all, my life's been gradually improving for me, slowly but steadily. The older I got, the more self-aware I became about my behavior, so I stopped getting bullied. Also, I learned to stand up for myself, and that was helpful. However, I still ended up quitting school at some point. I realized that I can't force myself to do something I despise for even a second. I just stood up in the middle of the class and went, screw it. After that, I tried a bunch of different jobs, but none of them really worked for me. However, I found my true passion. I love making music, and I'm currently putting all my energy into becoming a successful musician. I no longer care if I might fail. It's really liberating. My relationship with my mother has
Yeah,
been steadily
not
improving
the
as
US.
well. Boy, it was hard at first, and I made sure to let her know how much I hated her for what she did. But she finally, truly admitted her mistakes and quit drinking. It was easier after that. I could start expressing and letting go of my hatred in healthy ways. My mother really made an effort to better herself. I also apologized for what I did that day, and she forgave me. I wish I could tell you a happy ending to that part of the story, but sadly, my mom was diagnosed with schizophrenia 2 years ago. She's back in her home country now with her family, and they're taking care of her. Thank God for that. The last 2 years were a huge burden. At one point, she was so thin that you could see the shape of her skull, all while having this giddy, delusional smile on her face. Horrifying. Well, there it is. The
Yeah.
story of how I tried to kill my mother.
Our next Reddit post is from Iodine Pusher. Me and my wife bought a new bed. A really expensive one, the kind that has separate firmness on each side. We spent hours and hours at the store, where my wife took her time testing and deciding what kind of lower mattress she wanted on her side. Beforehand, she had done extensive web research on what kind of bed would give her the most happiness in life, and so on. Eventually, she settled for a bed with a firmness between soft and medium. Me, I couldn't be bothered with that. I've always liked my bed soft, but the store lady said that with my body composition, I should have a hard mattress. So, during a brief brain fart, I chose that. The next morning, I knew that I had messed up. The $2,000 bed that I had just bought felt awful. Even worse, when installing it, I had taken the plastic wrapping off the lower mattress so I couldn't return it. So, my solution? While my wife was at work, I flipped the bed 180 degrees, so now that I had the soft side and she had the concrete slab. There are 2 additional full-width, thick mattresses on top of those, so it's not immediately noticeable. This was 5 years ago, and I've slept like a baby ever since. My wife apparently still hasn't noticed. At least she hasn't said anything, and she seems to sleep well. She must never know, though. The top comment from Hanafim. What if she found out, flipped the bed again, and you're the one who hasn't realized it yet? Our next Reddit post is from Deleted. Well, 16 years ago, my family had 2 of my friends and their mother living with us while their mother went through a divorce. I was 15 and my friends were 14 and 16. I was away at another friend's house one night. When I came back the following day, my mom told me that she had kicked the other family out because the 16-year-old girl tried to make a move on my dad. She absolutely slandered that poor girl's name. When I got into my 20s, that still sat in the back of my mind, and I just knew that I didn't get the truth. So I reached out to that 16-year-old who was now in her 20s. We met up, and I got the true story. I could see the pain in her eyes. She said that she had been in therapy for years because of my father, that he had intercourse with her in such a loving way that it really messed her up. She told me they had been drinking on the property and then went skinny dipping, all while my mother was in the bed, pregnant with my sister. Then they made their way into the house and upstairs, where eventually my mother walked in on them. I let the girl know that I had her back if she ever decided to do anything about it. I'm now in my 30s and recently became a mother, and it's all I've been able to think about. My parents still don't know that I know the truth. It's reawakened this rage in me, especially all the teenage rage they made me shove down for so long. Because if anyone did that to my daughter, or if I caught my husband in that situation, hell no. It was easy to shove down before because I learned from the best, my parents. But becoming a mother, especially to a daughter, I've never wanted someone to pay for something they've done so bad. I feel like if I brought it up with my mom, she would just get angry and talk trash. She'd probably say the past is in the past and I need to let it go, that people can change. But I know that my father hasn't changed due to events over the recent years with his anger and control issues. He is a very big narcissist who believes he can do no wrong whatsoever. And my mother is so far up his butt.
It makes me wonder if the 16-year-old girl was his only victim. If she was, and if he's never done it again, would that be okay? Is this forgivable? Because I don't feel like it is. The fact that he did this with his pregnant wife in the same house would indicate that he's either done this before and is very comfortable with it, or he was absolutely chomping at the bit to assault a 16-year-old girl. Honestly, I'm not sure which one is worse.
Our next Reddit post is from Susant. This was an accident and happened about 10 years ago. I had recently joined a Chinese-owned company in a fairly prominent position, and being the only white guy in the company, they liked to send me to trade shows in China to indicate that the company was definitely not Chinese. I was sent to Guangzhou to the Hotel Dongfang just around the corner from the convention center. Of course, with a convention center in town with many visitors, the prostitutes, madams, and agents were out in force. Most of the people handing out cards for these whores were very young kids. Seriously young. They looked to be about 10 years old or younger. Often, the only English they spoke was, "You buy, so cheap." Every time I went out, I had kids pushing cards into my hands, into my pockets, or dropped into any boxes I was carrying. Most of the time, that was that. End of story. On my second to last day, I went out with the sole intention of buying presents for my wife and daughter, when after the first shop, I was approached by an older madam who would not leave me alone. Every step of the way she kept with me, encouraging me to buy so cheap. Even my protestations that I was married and not interested was met with, "Your wife not here, you buy so cheap." Eventually she said, "Tell me your room number, I send girl to your room, just $200. Thinking this was the best way to get rid of her, I said, $200? Okay, I'm in room 1024, and then carried on shopping. Since this was a fake, random room number and I had no intention of carrying out the transaction, I promptly forgot about it. The next day, the last day of the show, I was told the boss had flown to Beijing and I was needed to help a colleague collect some stuff from the hotel room. I walked with my colleague, dodging the kids with prostitute cards, back to the hotel until I was standing outside of my boss's room. Room 1024. I have never, ever dared ask or say anything to my boss about this. Only my wife knows the story. And so too do you. Down in the comments, Fox Glock says, "Did you check your next paycheck to see if your boss deducted $200? That was r/confessions. And if you like this content, check out my podcast where I publish the exact same episodes. Also, hit that subscribe button because I put out new Reddit videos every single day. Welcome to r/Am I the Butthole, where OP's girlfriend expects OP to give her $25,000. Am I the...
I'll take stories that never happened for $200. Who knows, man? Shit gets wild out there in the world.
butthole for refusing to share my bonus with my fiance's family? I'm a 30-year-old guy, and I work in tech and had a fantastic year at my job. I recently received a significant year-end bonus, $50,000, and I was thrilled. I've been saving for years to buy a house, and this bonus is going directly into my house fund. My fiance, who's 28, knows this and was initially very supportive. Then she dropped a bomb on me. She asked if I could spare $25,000 of my bonus to help her parents pay off their mortgage. Apparently, her parents have been struggling financially, and she feels it's only fair since we're going to be married and they're going to be my family too. I said no. I've worked extremely hard for this money, and while I feel for her parents, I don't think it's my responsibility to bail them out, especially when I've never even been asked directly by them. Her response? She called me selfish and accused me of not caring about her family. She then brought up how her parents have sacrificed so much for her, and it's the least that I could do. She's been cold to me ever since. She also told her parents about my bonus, without my permission, and now I'm getting guilt-tripped by them. They haven't outright asked for money, but they've made several comments about how lucky I am to have extra cash, and how some people don't get that kind of opportunity. When I mentioned that I plan to use the money to help secure our future with a house, my fiance said, "What future? You're already showing that you don't care about the people who matter to me. I don't think that I should have to justify how I use my bonus. But now, even my own friends are split on whether I'm being reasonable or stingy." All right, hold on.
Bruh.
If the parents sacrifice so much for the fiance, then shouldn't she give them $25,000? Opie, I'd be rethinking this engagement because once you marry this woman, then half of your bonuses are automatically hers. Opie, I'm giving you 0 out of 5 buttholes. I'm giving your fiance and her family 2 out of 5 buttholes. Am I the butthole for boarding a plane without my sister and leaving her and her kids behind? I'm a 21-year-old woman, and I'm currently going to college in the same town that my sister and her family live in. My sister's 27. We're about a 6-hour flight from my hometown where our parents and extended family live. We had planned on all flying back to our hometown for Thanksgiving a few days ago. For some background, my brother-in-law, Bill, is an alcoholic. Any kind of event where alcohol is provided or purchasable ends with him getting in fights and causing issues. He yells, throws things, and gets generally aggressive. My sister arrived at the airport before me, and when I arrived at the gate an hour and a half before boarding, Bill was nowhere to be found, and my sister was struggling to keep track of 3 small
It's all
kids and
done.
all their luggage.
Yippee.
Bill didn't come to check on them once in the hour and a half. I only saw him when he came staggering over to the waiting area and it was time to board. As soon as my sister started talking to him, he got loud and aggressive. I watched from the boarding line, we're in different groups, as it escalated to the point where security confronted him. My sister waved me over and I got out of line. She told me that security weren't going to allow him to fly and that she needed help. I asked if I should take Bill's seat so that I could sit next to one of the kids, and that way my sister wouldn't be left all alone with 3 kids on a long flight. My sister was confused and repeated that Bill couldn't fly with us. I asked if she was going to stay behind and sort this mess out, and she said yes. I told her that, in that case, I probably couldn't help her. She has a 6-year-old, a 3-year-old, and a 9-month-old, and her kids would need her. My sister was still confused and then told me that she expected me to stay behind and help her deal with her husband and kids. I told her no. Traveling around the holidays is insane. There likely wouldn't be enough open seats for us to get a later flight if Bill is even still going to be allowed to fly at all. I was excited to see our family, and her kids were not my responsibility. She got upset and told me that she didn't know what to do with her husband and that if he couldn't fly, or worse, she didn't know how she'd handle it. I told her that's not my problem. Bill isn't a child who needs supervision, and it's not her job to deal with him throwing a tantrum and getting in trouble with security. I said that we could just board the plane and leave him to face the consequences of his own actions. She said that he is her responsibility. I told her that if she knows how he is when he drinks, and that if he was her responsibility, then she should have done something to prevent this, and that this situation was all on her. She chose to marry an alcoholic, not me. I wouldn't be missing my family for Thanksgiving because her husband can't hold his liquor. I boarded the flight, and she stayed behind. My family was happy that I made it, but many of them called me insensitive for what I said, and my mom was particularly mad that I didn't stay and support my sister. Am I the butthole?
Nope.
You know, honestly, OP is giving the sister the support she needs, which is a hard reality check. The sister is enabling the drunk husband, and now everyone wants OP to just enable the enabler? No, then we're just stuck in a cycle of alcoholic abuse. OP, you get 0 out of 5 buttholes. I'm giving the alcoholic 3 out of 5 buttholes, and I don't want to be too hard on the sister because she's kind of a victim here, but yo, she's also being really dumb. She needs to figure out what's going on here, so I gotta give the sister 1.5 out of 5 buttholes. Am I the butthole for threatening to divorce my wife if she doesn't become a proper homemaker the next month? My wife and I have been married for 4 years.
What?
I'm 33, she's 32. Her name is Steph. Steph is a stay-at-home wife, and since we got married, she's been incredibly inconsistent with household labor. I work a physically demanding job, and it would really help if Steph could at least cook dinner more than once or twice a week. Instead, she sits at the dinner table, hunched over her phone for hours a day. She's completely addicted to it, but she refuses to even have a conversation about this. Now, about twice a year, I have an opportunity to visit a foreign country for work. The nature of the work is to supervise construction and instruct the workers there. The compensation for these trips is always fantastic. And Steph is appreciative when I go because I bring home a pretty fat paycheck after. 3 weeks ago, I was about to depart for 2 weeks on such a trip. At around 10 a.m., I texted Steph and said that time was tight, but I'd be home at 12:30 to pick up my luggage. I asked her if she would make me something for lunch, and she agreed to do so. I emphasized that I had about 10 minutes to stuff my face and then get to the airport. At 11 a.m., I texted her again, saying I'd be home as planned at 12:30. Again, she said okay. At 12, I texted her saying that I was leaving. I walked in the door at exactly 12:30, only to find her sitting at the dinner table, hunched over her phone. When I walked in, she gave me this bewildered look. She had done literally nothing. Nothing was cooking. Steph stood
Bruh.
up in a panic and said that she would start making me lunch, but I told her it was pointless. She sheepishly apologized, and I responded, "Don't say sorry, just be less effing useless." This made her very upset. I just picked up my luggage, left, and went to the airport. I did manage to pick up some food at the airport, but I really would have liked a home-cooked meal before eating out every day for 2 weeks. I got home last week, and Steph was still angry. She said that what I said to her was over the top. I asked what she had been doing for those 2 weeks, and she insisted that she was super busy, as in Instagram and Netflix. I gave her an ultimatum. You mean like the Netflix show? That she had 1 month to get her act together and be a proper homemaker. I told her that if she couldn't, I was going to divorce her. Steph was super upset, and for the past week, she's been sulking, as in scrolling Instagram and Netflix. She told her family about it, and her mother basically blamed me for Steph's lack of direction in life. I know it's nonsense that a 32-year-old woman needs to have her hand held to do anything, but was I being ridiculous with my ultimatum? Man, I hate to say this, but OP, it would probably be cheaper and more rewarding to just hire a housekeeper. The core problem here isn't that she's not domestic. This isn't really a gender issue. The problem is that she's not even close to contributing her half. Also, it kind of sounds like she has addiction issues. Anyways, OP, I would get out now before you guys have kids, and then you're doing everything you're doing now, but then also doing all the baby care. OP, you get 0 out of 5 buttholes. I'm giving her 2.5 out of 5 buttholes. Am I the butthole for canceling everyone's Christmas because my mom called the cops on my husband? Usually, my husband and I host Christmas Eve at our house. He's 30 and I'm 27. It's nothing big, just my divorced parents and my 3 teenage siblings. This year, we have a newborn and sat Thanksgiving out, but I felt comfortable doing Christmas. Until my mom called the cops on my husband a few weeks back. One of my sisters, who's 19, called me crying, asking me to go pick up our younger sister, who's 17, because she had just gotten in a fight with my mom and my mom slapped her. Our newborn baby was sleeping, and we wanted to get my 17-year-old sister ASAP, so I stayed behind while my husband went to get both my sisters. My mom and my 17-year-old sister were at the laundromat. The altercation happened at home. When my husband walked up to their car and told my sister, "Let's go," my mom freaked out, caused a scene, and started yanking on the car door, telling him to let my sister out or she's calling the cops. At this point, my husband had locked the door and kept telling my mom that he's not letting her out, that she needs space and he's bringing her back to our place. My mom walks away and I tell him to drive off. She can send the cops to my house if she wants. I was on the phone with my husband at the time. Well, she calls the cops and it backfires. The cops side with us and agree the 17-year-old should have been removed from the situation and should stay with me for a few days. This enraged my mom. For some reason, she hates that my sisters and I are close. She's been telling them for years to keep secrets from me, to not tell me what happens in her house, even though they still do. And she's called family meetings with my siblings just to say they need to stop running to me to vent. She says that whatever happens in her house is none of my business. She treats me like I'm some random outsider and not her literal daughter, and I'm tired of it. She tends to sweep everything under the rug. She'll never talk about an issue and will just continue life like she didn't hurt anyone's feelings. She also has a tendency to pull the, well, sorry I'm such a bad mom card, where she
Ew.
deflects and gaslights a lot. After she called the cops on my husband with the intention of getting him in some sort of trouble, I'm not letting her just sweep this under the rug and show up for Christmas like we're one big happy family. If she can't come to us like an adult and apologize and have a mature conversation, she is not welcome in my house. So, Christmas Eve is canceled. So anyways, am I the butthole for canceling everyone's Christmas? What
Nope.
happened in this story is probably the best case scenario. The cops were chill, they agreed with OP, and they let the 17-year-old sister stay with OP. But you have to also imagine the worst case scenario, which is the cops show up in a bad mood, or they're like, hey, yo, this 17-year-old girl is technically a minor. This is kidnapping, so we gotta arrest this guy and throw him in jail. And then OP gets charged for kidnapping a minor? We're talking actual jail time here. So your mom could have literally ruined your life and your husband's life, and she wants to be like, okay, well, where should I put my stocking? Yeah, right. OP, you get 0 out of 5 buttholes. I'm giving your mom 3.5 out of 5 buttholes. Am I the butthole for accidentally letting my sister-in-law get chemical burns on her face? Me and my husband are 26. We bought our first home 7 months ago. His younger sister, who's 16, just got her license. And she frequently shows up unannounced and has trouble taking no for an answer. Last Friday, she came over after dinner and asked to stay the night. We agreed since we had no plans. She asked to shower, so we let her use ours, as our guest bathroom isn't stocked yet. I splurge on salon quality hair care products because my hair is unruly, and my $27 shampoo bottle was brand new. Later, I found half the shampoo and nearly all the conditioner gone, along with my skincare scattered across the counter. She used almost $50 worth of hair product, and all of my skin stuff, including my prescription skincare stored in a pharmacy bag. I asked her to bring her own products next time, as I wasn't comfortable with how much she used. I was in no way rude, I just explained that I splurge on really expensive products and can't afford to have $50 of product gone every time she showers here. She called me selfish in a passive-aggressive way and ended up leaving. By Tuesday, her skin was red, peeling, and breaking out terribly. At dinner with my in-laws, she blamed me for not warning her about my skincare. I explained that I hadn't expected her to dig through my drawers and use prescription products, which are expensive and took my skin weeks to adjust to. My father-in-law said that I should pay for a doctor visit,
Hell
but
no.
my husband refused, arguing that she's 16. She should know better, and that it was inappropriate for her to look through my medicine bag to even find the prescription product that was likely the culprit for the irritation. Am I at fault for not warning her? I wouldn't go through someone else's personal products, let alone use their stuff like it was my own. I would have been happy to share some skin products, but not my prescription cream. She also brought up that I got mad that she used so much shampoo and conditioner and basically made me look really bad in front of my in-laws. Admittedly, I was upset about the shampoo and conditioner and the fact that she left a huge mess on our counter, but I was very calm and just explained that money is tight as we just bought our house, and I didn't want her to use months of products during one shower. Okay, taking someone else's prescription products can literally kill you. So I would say this is a valuable life lesson learned, kind of akin to touching a hot stove.
Wah, wah.
Hopefully your sister-in-law has learned her lesson. OP, I would just say change your locks and disinvite her from your house until she can pay you back for the missing product. You get 0 out of 5 buttholes. I'm giving your sister-in-law 2 out of 5 buttholes.
That was r/Am I the Butthole. And if you like this content, check out my podcast where I publish the exact.
Welcome to r/Am I the Butthole, where, I'm not kidding, a stranger knocks on OP's door and says, "Hello, can I please give birth in your bedroom?" Am I
Huh?
the butthole for telling a woman where she can and can't give birth?
What the
This
fuck?
is one of the stranger things that's ever happened to me. To set the scene,
Hi, Mrs. Ashley. Welcome in. We're listening to Reddit stories. This is an interesting start to this video.
15, I'm 26, and I bought the house that I'm living in 2019 from this lovely older couple. For context, in case anyone's reading this in the future, that was 5 years ago. I
Jesus.
thought, as I'm sure anyone who's been in this situation might think, that the signing was going to be the last time I ever saw them or had anything to do with their family. I was wrong. Yesterday, I got a knock on my door, and I opened it to find a young couple, probably my age, maybe a bit younger. The woman was pregnant and looked like she was gonna pop any day. I asked who they were and if I could help them. The woman replied that this home used to belong to her parents and that she was born in this house. I asked again what it was they wanted since they didn't really tell me if they needed anything from me. She told me that her mother had also been born here in the upstairs bedroom. For context, this is now my bedroom. She then asked if I would mind letting her bring the stuff that was needed to give birth in the same spot as she and her mother were both born in. I said no, keeping in mind that A, this isn't her or her parents' house anymore, and B, the bedroom in question is my bedroom. Now, I thought this was as normal as a response was possible given the strange question, but when I was telling my friends about it this afternoon, one of the girls in the friend group said that it was pretty cruel of me to tell a pregnant woman where she can and can't give birth.
Excuse
I didn't
me?
think that what I said was all that strange, considering I'd never met the couple before. And I don't exactly want a strange woman giving birth where I sleep. But my friend insists that I could have come to some sort of arrangement. So here I am, asking you guys, am I the
No.
butthole? Also, OP posts an edit. So I just want to add that my friend isn't an idiot. When we were having this conversation, we were, let's say, having a fun time with fun substances. When I asked her about it today, she genuinely thought that she had imagined the conversation. Obviously, she thinks it's a horrible idea for liability and health reasons, aside from it being weird. Also, I got an email back from the previous owners. I managed to get their contact info from the realtor who sold the house. It turns out that, yes, they have a daughter, and yes, apparently she is actually pregnant, and they cut her off for being a bit on the crazy side. In my hometown of Orange, Virginia, in my old childhood home, I buried my dead dog in the backyard. And every single time I go back to Orange to visit friends, I always think about, maybe I could go by my old childhood home and knock on the door and say, hey, would you mind if I just, I used to live here, my dog's buried in the backyard, would you mind if I go visit my dog and just say hello or whatever? And just that thought makes me feel so guilty of imposing on these random strangers that I've never been able to bring myself to do it. So I don't know where this woman got the balls to come up to OP and ask this question. She's got more courage than I do, that's for sure. Am I the butthole for considering divorce over my wife's ex-behavior? I've been with my wife for 6 years, married for 1.5. Her son, Jake, is 9. He used to call me dad, and we had a great bond. 5 months ago, his biological dad showed up. Since then, Jake has been repeating things his dad says and constantly insulting me. I went from, he's my dad, to, he's just my mom's husband, ha 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 ha. I talked to my wife about it, but she thinks that he's just a kid and that I should let it go. Last week, Jake called me because his dad, who was supposed to pick him up from school and then take him shopping for his mom's birthday, bailed on him. I stepped in, took Jake shopping, and we had a good half day together. I paid for the gift that he picked out. I dropped him off at his dad's. His dad was asleep and forgot about even picking up Jake from school. On my wife's birthday, Jake lied and said that it was his dad who took him shopping and paid for the gift, despite his dad never having a job or paying child support. His dad graciously accepted all the compliments and even made fun of the gift that I gave my wife. My wife, however, didn't say a word to him. After the party, when Jake went to his dad's, I told my wife that I was upset that she didn't stand up for me. She rolled her eyes and said, "Why? Because he was more thoughtful than you?" I told her the truth about what happened, but she didn't believe me. I even showed her my credit card statement and phone logs proving that Jake called me on Tuesday. Frustrated, I left to stay with my brother because I can't be around someone who doesn't trust me. My brother thinks that I'm right, but my mother-in-law has messaged me a million times saying it's a misunderstanding and that I'm overreacting. My wife hasn't apologized. My wife came over yesterday and said that she feels stuck because she doesn't want to make her son feel bad about his dad. She keeps saying, "He's just a kid, you should be the bigger person." When I asked if she was apologizing, she said no. She insisted that it was just a misunderstanding and added that she's seen how much her ex has been trying. Then she said that I was acting like a needy man baby. I told her that if she thinks so highly of her ex and doesn't see my efforts, she should leave because she clearly doesn't get my point. She doesn't seem to care about any of the effort that I put in. Her response? "That's exactly what I'm saying. You're acting like a needy baby who needs a reward. You need to man up if you love me." So now I'm torn. Should I start talking to a lawyer because there's no point in working on this? Or am I overreacting and should we try counseling?
Hell no.
Why would you want to stay in a family where neither your wife nor your stepson show you even the baseline level of respect? I'm giving you 0 out of 5 buttholes. If you stay in this relationship, you're a sucker. I'm giving everyone else 2.5 out of 5 buttholes. Am I the butthole for not telling a man that the research he was mansplaining to me was my own? I'm a 33-year-old woman, and I work in a very small, technical, specific, male-dominated field. Let's just say it's a subcategory of law. I graduated 9 years ago, and I'm now a lawyer as well as a researcher. I publish some work here and there, but nothing too major, and no one outside of my field knows my work. Yesterday, I went to a bar with a couple of friends who introduced me to one of their friends who works in the same field as me. I was pretty excited to meet him because it's rare to meet people who work in that field. He doesn't exactly do the same thing as I do. He's not a lawyer, but a legal advisor, but we work on the same topics. So naturally, we started talking about our work. At one point, we were discussing a point on which we had different opinions, so I explained mine to him, and he replied by saying that my opinion was based on nothing, while his was based on the work of a professional. You guessed it, me. He basically started explaining my work to me, but in a completely wrong way and missed all my points. I asked him if he was sure that was what the author meant, and he said that he was because it was pretty simple actually. For another good 20 minutes, he explained all of it to me in detail, like I was a first-year law student. I didn't say anything because it was pretty funny to watch him say things that were completely wrong with so much confidence. After that, the topic changed and the night went on. But at the end of the night, right before leaving, I decided to tell him that I was actually the person that wrote the work that he had quoted, and that he hadn't really understood it. He reacted very badly and got angry, and he told me that I'd manipulated him to humiliate him. He yelled at me for not saying it was my work at the beginning. I simply replied that he had embarrassed himself, and I left. I woke up this morning to texts from my friends saying that I was wrong for causing drama and tension and that I could have been nicer to their friend. I'm not sure if I'm in the wrong here.
No,
I mean,
you're
yeah,
not
I could have
wrong.
told him right away, but is it that big of a deal that I didn't? I'm not exactly sure. Nah, OP, this moron made a fool of himself. I'm giving you 0 out of 5 buttholes. I'm giving him 1.5 out of 5. Am I the butthole for selling my Taylor Swift tickets after my girlfriend cheated? A few months back, I, a 27-year-old guy, won some money on stake and decided to surprise my girlfriend, a 25-year-old woman, with Taylor Swift tickets for her Vancouver show. She's been a massive Swiftie since forever, and I knew that it would mean the world to her. I spent around $800 for 2 really good seats. Last week, I discovered that my girlfriend had been secretly meeting up with her work friend for months. I found out because she accidentally left her Instagram DMs open on my laptop. She'd been using it to print something. And I saw weeks of flirty messages and plans to meet up. When I confronted her, she tried to deny it at first, but eventually admitted they'd kissed several times and had been having an emotional affair. I was devastated. These tickets were meant to be a special experience for us, and I couldn't stomach the thought of taking her after this betrayal. Rather than let them go to waste, I decided to sell them. Given how insane the Taylor Swift ticket market is right now, I managed to sell them for $2,400, triple
Damn.
what I paid. When I found out that I sold the tickets, she completely lost it. She's been blowing up my phone, calling me petty and cruel, saying I ruined her dream, and that the tickets were a gift, so they belong to her. Her friends are also messaging me, saying that I'm an awful person for using the tickets to hurt her. I feel like I had every right to sell tickets that I bought with my own money, especially after what she did. But she's making me feel like I took things too far. Am I the butthole?
Hell no.
If she wants to go to Taylor Swift so much, maybe her new boyfriend can fork over the money to buy some tickets. Also, I mean, I'm not a big Swiftie. I don't really know any songs of hers. Isn't virtually every song she sings about love and romance and dating? I have to imagine Swift has made a couple of songs. All right, hold on. Taylor Swift songs about cheating. Yeah, all right.
Half of
She's
her
written
country
like,
albums
geez, what
are
is this?
about
20
cheaters.
songs about cheating? Should have said no. Picture to burn. You're not sorry. White Horse. Dear John. The Story of Us. Better Than Revenge. Haunted. I Knew You Were Trouble. The Moment I Knew. Bad Blood. All right, so I think Taylor Swift is probably anti-cheating, so I don't even think she'd be welcome at a Taylor Swift concert. OP, you get 0 out of 5 buttholes. I'm giving your cheating ex 3 out of 5 buttholes. Am I the butthole for accepting inheritance from my deadbeat father? I'm a 19-year-old guy, and I barely remember my real father. The last memory I had of him was him yelling at my mother, and I was maybe 6, hiding under a kitchen table. He was a terrible man with an alcohol problem. One day, he fled the country and was never seen again. My mother met my stepfather, who's a great man, and raised me as his own kid. Just a few months ago, I received a formal notice from my real father telling me that my grandmother, his mother, had died. And he didn't expect me to go to the funeral as I didn't even know the lady, but decided to pass her apartment to me as he was never part of my life, so it's the least he can do. He doesn't expect me to contact him or anything. He wrote that he knows how terrible he was and nothing can excuse that. I was excited about the fact that I could start my life way easier, and I told my family about it, and they got really mad at me and telling me how terrible of a person he was. My mother said that he's probably using that to contact me, or even worse, use that to claim that he took care of me so I have to take care of him when he's old. So I talked with a pro bono lawyer about it, and she told me that accepting an inheritance can't be considered paying child support, which he never did. So if I decide to accept the apartment, it doesn't oblige me to anything. My parents are still mad at me. My stepfather says I should honor my mother's wish and not accept it. While I believe that it would be stupid to say no and deny a chance to start my life a bit easier than others my age. So am I the butthole for accepting that apartment? Alright, the top comment
phone
from
is
Aware
calling?
Welcome says exactly.
Oh, your phone's on my table. You do that a lot. Your phone on my table.
I'm right here.
Yeah,
You can reply to me
yeah,
in person.
yeah.
I'm walking around.
I love.
Oh, we're both drawing the same thing.
Yeah. For real, I'll never understand
Is she
people
holding
being.
a giant titty?
No, she's gonna be holding a moon.
Giant boob.
I'm gonna. It's gonna be.
colored.
I will
Is
get
that
have
her
it
pregnant
colored.
stomach?
No.
Is this pregnant?
No.
Pregnancy
No.
art?
Stop.
Is this pregnancy art?
Ow. What are you doing?
Is this pregnancy art?
It's already on fucking. What are you? No. Stop. No. Why are you opening every fucking
I
category?
don't know where you're.
There's one
you
literally
have so
called
many-
VTuber.
You have so many servers.
What are you? Stop! Booty cheek, giant moon, so it's a giant butt cheek. No! She opened literally all of my fucking categories on Discord.
You know, you're like, it's the one named VTuber. They don't have names.
Yes, it does! It's literally, you hover over, it's called VTuber!
Yeah, I'm not gonna hover over them. I'm just gonna click them and look for the one I'm used to.
I'm dying, dude. June hungers for the buttons. Oh my god. Well, I was gonna show this really cute fucking art Hydra made
Uh-huh.
of June, and then she did that shit, dude.
That's okay.
I'm dying.
Coughing from
Oh,
the rage.
coughing from the rage. This
Yeah.
would make for a really cute keychain.
Yeah, it could be.
No, I was trying to make like a really like a little fucking PNG tuber. And so I was like, I'm gonna have her like holding onto a moon, and then you did this. Where the fuck did my pen go? Do you have my
Oh,
pen?
I picked it
You
up.
have my pen!
I picked it up because I thought it was my pen.
Give
I'm
it
so used
back!
to holding a pen.
Why are you taking my pen?
Go draw.
No! Give me back my pen! You have your own pen, whore.
No, I don't.
Give it back. Stop. No. My pen back. Stop. No. Fine, I got your pen.
Okay. Alright.
The size, not the sus fucking. The pen is mightier than the butt. I took her pen. It still works because it's the same brand.
Same model too. To her.
Same model,
my
yeah.
tablet's bigger because I wanted a certain color and they only had it in big size.
Yeah.
But it has a dead spot for some reason.
Which is so weird. Didn't you have that dead spot initially, like when you first got
Yeah.
it too? I'm surprised
I
you
don't know, I
never
just
sent it
Keep
in.
getting faulty products and I just don't care.
God. Pregnant. No. Yes, immediately changing the color. Because it's supposed to be the mood. Minions, tonight we steal the moon!
They all say it's the moon.
It is the moon.
You're gonna call all your viewers minions?
No. I'm calling them blooms. It's cute. Blooms. At you. Blooms is really cute.
Like the game Balloons? Hit game
No,
Balloons?
like like flowers blooming.
Balloons.
A minions. It is not a minion booty.
Minion booty.
Stop.
It is a minion booty. She loves minions. She has a minion plush behind her, actually.
There you go. Now it's a minion booty. Oh, I hate it. There we go. God. He wearing the banana hammock. Juna's giant dummy thick minion. You guys remember in the fucking... I'm pretty sure it's the first Despicable Me movie where it's got the minion going to the pool and he's got the fucking thong strap on. June's first step as a not safe for work artist.
Exactly what I was thinking. Honey, if anyone needs to accept an inheritance, it's the child of a deadbeat dad. Also, we have this interesting story from The Real Satan Weasel. My dad had a similar situation when the man who was his biological father died. My dad didn't want anything to do with him, even after his death, because of how terrible he had been to him, abandoning him as a child. So, my dad lost out on $1.5 million in assets. My dad's share went to the other heirs. My dad really showed him, huh? So don't let a false sense of getting even cost you an opportunity.
Yeah,
Yeah,
for real.
OP, this is literally your birthright. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise. OP, you get 0 out of 5 buttholes. I don't know if I want to give your parents a butthole score because I can definitely understand why they hold a grudge against your dad, though I do think they should support you and do what's in your best interests. It's just I think they probably are, even though they're actually not. So I think I'll give them 0.5 out of 5 buttholes. They need to let go of their anger and their grudge and understand it's not about them or their hatred, it's about you and what you're owed. Am I the butthole for refusing to take my girlfriend back after she cheated just to see if she still had it? I'm a 30-year-old guy, and I've been dating my girlfriend Rachel, who's 27, for 2 years. She's always been confident and charismatic, which is one of the things that I loved about her. Our relationship seemed solid, good communication, lots of shared interests, and we were even talking about moving in together. A few weeks ago, Rachel admitted to me that she cheated on me during a night out with her friends. She hooked up with some guy that she met at a bar. I was completely blindsided. When I asked her why she did it, she said that it wasn't about me or our relationship, but because she wanted to see if she still had it. I told her that was a terrible excuse, and she started crying, saying that it was a stupid mistake and that she regretted it immediately. She begged me to forgive her, saying she learned her lesson and that it would never happen again. But I can't get over the fact that she's willing to risk our relationship for something so shallow. She didn't cheat because she was unhappy or because there was a problem between us. She cheated purely to stroke her ego and to stroke off the other dude. Now, Rachel and some of our mutual friends are calling me unforgiving, saying that everyone makes mistakes and that I'm throwing away a great relationship over one bad choice. They said that I should focus on her remorse and give her another chance. I feel like staying with her would mean betraying my own boundaries, but I'm starting to wonder if I'm being too harsh. Ooh, I like this top comment from Wizard of Claws. Congrats, you still have it, but you sure as hell don't have me. The mutual friends are just as trashy as her. You'd be crazy to take her back. Yep, straight facts. OP, I'm giving you 0 out of 5 buttholes. I'm giving the cheater 3 out of 5 buttholes. The trashy friends get 1.5 out of 5 buttholes. I'd love to know if they would stick around with their partner if they got cheated on. Probably not. That was r/am I the butthole. And if you like this
Hi? Are you okay? Okay, I just looked up and you were staring at me.
Welcome to r/nuclear revenge, where we literally have a murder. Our next Reddit post is from Deleted. This is my grandfather's story, so it would have occurred sometime in the early 1960s. My grandpa comes from a very remote part of my country. Even in the 60s, they lived in a log cabin without a phone or electricity. He lived with his 3 brothers, his sister, his father, and his mother. It was a violent household.
You can't go
My
that way.
great-grandfather was an alcoholic.
That's her activation noise. I'll live.
She doesn't know how to go from, like, here you go. Immediately hopped in here. She's so fucking cute, dude. I love her. I'm glad that we got her. Our last cat. Last cat. We don't have a big enough house to get more. Even if we wanted to. 4 is enough.
4 is more than enough.
More than enough.
Speaking of, I'm gonna sit up there. Water thing.
Yeah. For now, great. No.
What? She just slapped me.
She slapped you?
She slapped me again.
She's not slapping you. She's trying to reach out. She says, I love you.
Her corn chip paws.
Corn chip paws.
Grandpa, his siblings, and his mother were accustomed to beatings. The culture of the time was to accept this as a harsh reality of the remote and difficult lives that were led so far from civilization. My great aunt was the youngest of the siblings, and as my grandpa and his brothers grew into young men and began working, she was left at home and began to take on the role of housekeeper because my great grandmother was often ill. She would often use her bad health as an excuse for not stopping what happened
I hear
next.
lobster.
My great grandfather began forcing himself on my great aunt at some point,
He's like a
most
dog
likely before
baby.
she had even started puberty. This
Oh,
continued for
no.
years as the brothers all moved out and she was left completely alone. My grandpa says that he truly didn't know, that he was worried for his sister receiving the brunt of the beatings, but he didn't know about that part. I hope that's true. When my great aunt was 13, she became pregnant with her father's son. The night that my grandpa found out, him and his brothers snowmobiled out from the town. And since none of them owned a gun, they used shovels to beat their father to death. The ground was
Good.
frozen solid, so they burned him, which also helped to destroy the evidence, I suppose. Although, I'm not sure anyone ever questioned how my great-grandfather had died, as these were very
No.
different times. My great-aunt's son, born of incest, is afflicted with genetic issues. He can barely see, and he only has a single functioning kidney. But he's happy and has healthy kids in their 20s now. My great aunt drank herself to death in the 80s, as did my great grandfather, so I never met them. My grandpa told me all about this when he was drunk, as he had also become an alcoholic. So has my dad.
Halftime
The
show.
generational trauma of my family is thankfully now broken with me and my siblings. But this revenge murder, this disgusting hurt, was really just another sad piece of a puzzle of abuse that started long, long ago. That disgusting man probably thought to himself, I live in such a secluded place, I can get away with whatever I want out here. And all of his sons were like, you know what? Good point, Dad. We can get away with whatever we want out here. Like, for example, murder.
Our next Reddit post is from Hunting the Wumpus. Many years ago, I got a job with a marketing company doing phone deregulation. It was the Wild West, and a lot of small, long-distance companies sprang up, all trying to get a piece of the pie. Eventually, they all got bought up by a bigger fish, but at the time, they were all paying hired gun marketing firms very well to score contracts for them to lock people in. I got a job with one of those marketing firms, a new age capitalism company that insisted we all do yoga and breathing exercises while they rang a little bell and gave us affirmations about how many contracts we were going to sell and how much money we'd all make. The job was 100% commission, but I was always good at sales, so I looked at the pay scale and noticed that it was exponential, presumably to entice people to work hard with impossible payouts. We were allowed to work as many or as few hours as we wanted, with the payout based on your weekly sales numbers. I decided I would give it a shot for 1 week to see how much I could realistically make before deciding whether I was willing to put up with tasteless vegan snacks and mandatory voluntary yoga time. For the next week, I pushed myself as hard as I could. For 7 straight days, I worked 14-hour days every single day and used every trick and technique I learned doing sales to score as many contracts as I possibly could. I figured this would tell me my maximum possible income, and I could decide on that basis whether or not to stay. At the end of the week, I had blown everyone else out of the water. In fact, I hadn't just gotten more contracts than anyone there had ever seen in a week. I'd gotten more than any of them had seen in a month. Because of the exponential scale, I realized that I was making absolutely ridiculous amounts of money, like $10,000 a week. They had never expected anyone could actually hit those kinds of numbers. Coming in the next week, expecting a huge payday, I ended up with about 5% of what I expected. They told me there were problems with a lot of my contracts, and that I would be allowed to fix them and submit them a few at a time over the next several weeks. These problems were things like an apostrophe wasn't quite clear, or the dash in someone's phone number was slightly crooked. They were trying to screw me. That night, I got a phone call from the company's office manager, Frank, who wanted to meet up for a drink. Curious, I agreed. Over beers, Frank told me that the owners of the company were in a panic because I would have bankrupted them. He said they spread out all my contracts on the floor of the office, then they crawled over them, inspecting each one and trying to figure out if I was committing some kind of fraud. When they realized that all my contracts were legit, they decided they had no choice but to screw me over.
Frank told me that he realized at that point that if they would screw me, they would screw him too. And besides, he was tired of doing yoga. He asked me if I would be interested in going into business with him and go head to head with his bosses. I thought it sounded intriguing, but I asked him how he thought that we could compete. Frank explained that he found out they didn't actually have the contract for our city. They were acting as independent contractors for another company who did have the contract to market the service in an entirely different city. They were poaching here because the person who did have the contract wasn't actively using it. We put together a pitch and approached the guy with the real contract, Joe, and told him about the people poaching his turf. We agreed that we'd split it with him. We'd take the upfront money for each contract, and he'd get the back-end money down the road. It was a good deal for everyone. So Joe contacted the phone company and had them threaten the poachers with a big lawsuit if they didn't stop. A week later, Frank and I strolled into the offices of our old employer. Most of the furniture and all the yoga mats were gone, and there was just a table, a couple of filing cabinets, and a file box with a final pay envelope for everyone. I made a show of counting my money to make sure it was all there, and the two owners, a husband and wife, told Frank and I bitterly that they had to take cash advances on their
No.
credit cards for this money, and they asked me if I felt guilty for destroying their lives. I smiled, said nope, and left. Our marketing company made us a lot of money over the years, until the company got bought up by Sprint and the gravy train ended. Our next Reddit post is from Hector Moriarty. This is the story of the time that I ruined the life of an online troll. Now, this may sound extreme, however, I believe that it was justified given the circumstances and nature of my encounter. To understand how I found this individual, I need to take you back to 2015. Back then, I would spend my days Googling pointless topics. One day, I decided to look up opinions on the meaning of life. I scrolled through various pages of search engine results until I came across the concept of nihilism. What is nihilism? Nihilism interested me because it was unlike any other belief that I found on my search for the meaning of life. To put it simply, nihilism is the belief that the world is meaningless. It is a pessimistic approach to life, which suggests that there's no point in life because nothing holds real relevance. I wanted to speak to a real-life nihilist and hear their opinions on life. What I found shocked me. Upon discovering nihilism, I joined several Facebook groups surrounding the topic. These groups were full of dark humor and memes that made fun of life and death. Comments such as, "Existence is misery," were common to see. In these groups, I came across a few genuine nihilists. The community was predominantly made up of people who were depressed, or people who would see the humor in depression. The nihilist approach meant that depression wasn't important because nothing is relevant. This was why suicide jokes were a hit in nihilism groups.
I heard
I
that.
found that
No,
the
I was gonna say,
constant
did you
sharing
hear
of
that?
suicide
Yes.
memes meant that people became desensitized to death.
I heard that through my headphones.
Damn, that's crazy.
People would believe that their existence was meaningless, which was not a good thought to have if you were dealing with genuine depression. I spoke to one individual privately who said that they didn't want to live anymore. They told me, "The world isn't real, but my sadness is." This made me realize that nihilism and depression are a bad combination. I reassured this person and told them they were important. A few months later, I went to get in touch to see how they were getting on, but I discovered that their Facebook account had vanished. Fast forward to mid-2016, and I get a Facebook notification from one of the nihilist groups. It was someone seeking genuine advice to unalive themselves. They said they wanted their death to be peaceful, but they were scared. Upon
Cool.
checking the comments of the post,
It
I
works.
noticed one person advising them to run into an oncoming train, as this would be painless and fast. The person
so
giving
cute.
the advice was the troll whose life I went on to ruin. I'll call this guy Nigel. At the time, I thought that Nigel was being edgy for the sake of it, but this was not the case. I decided to look up posts and comments made by Nigel in this group. All of his comments turned out to be methods for depressed people
Stinky.
to
Get your
unalive
butt out my
themselves.
face. Okay.
Nigel would give people reassurance that death was the only way out. He would pretend that he was doing the people a favor. A distraught man posted that he was ashamed that he kept failing in his attempts. Nigel told him not to beat himself up about it, and that if he works hard, one day he'll be able to do it. I realized that
Bruh,
Nigel
what
was
the
not
fuck?
your ordinary troll, and that I had to do something to stop him. I created a fake profile to contact Nigel. At this point, I had no intention to ruin his life. I just wanted to stop him ruining the lives of others. On my fake profile, I told him that I had seen his comments and that they could have a devastating effect. He replied to tell me that he didn't care. From my understanding, Nigel had the belief that depression was a weakness to humanity. It appeared that he was on a mission to weed out the weak members of society. It was almost like he got a buzz from it, some weird kick that motivated him to do it that I couldn't understand. I warned Nigel that if it continued, there would be repercussions. He told me that he didn't care and then blocked my fake profile. I logged into my genuine profile and checked for new posts by Nigel. A day later, I saw that he was back to his old tricks. He was, yet again, giving suicide advice to another mentally tortured soul.
No.
Nigel had made a crucial mistake by not setting his Facebook profile to private. I was able to see every post that he had ever made, as well as
There
the
are
friends
some,
that he
yeah.
had. Nigel was a family man and made it clear on Facebook how much his wife meant to him. I decided that I would give Nigel his second warning. This time, I'd make it personal. This time, I wanted to put fear into him. Within 10 minutes, I was able to find Nigel's home address. I decided that I would write a letter to his address. This letter was handwritten to add a personal touch. On the envelope, I addressed the letter to his wife's name so that he wouldn't be able to simply brush it under the carpet. The letter read, "Your husband continues to encourage suicide online. He provides methods of suicide for depressed people, and he must be stopped. Could you please let him know that this is his final warning? I'll be watching." This letter was sent with the intention to make Nigel stop doing what he does. I thought that this would be the only way that I could get through to him. The more I thought about it, the more I felt guilty that his wife might be living in fear. This was something that I didn't take into consideration initially. My mission to stop Nigel clouded my thoughts, however, and I knew that this was necessary for the greater good. It had been a month since I wrote the letter, and I hadn't seen a single post from Nigel. I thought maybe I'd finally gotten through to him, but I was wrong. Another month passed, and Nigel was back at it again. I was disappointed. However, I was not prepared to give up. I reached out to the depressed victims to let them know that they had my support. Nigel had to pay for his actions, but how? I decided to take a deeper look into Nigel's life. His use of the internet meant that his life was essentially an open book. I was stunned when I discovered that he worked at a care home. He was not someone that I could trust in society to care for others. I knew I had to deliver the final blow. Nigel's LinkedIn profile revealed that he was a senior member at a care home. This care home was reputable and risked their reputation by hiring him. I dug deep to pull out a barrage of screenshots that I had of Nigel's activity online. After some contemplation, I decided that I would get in touch with the care home via their Facebook page. I logged into the fake profile via a proxy and sent the screenshots. A member of staff replied to say the case had been handed over to the CEO. A week later, Nigel was no longer on the company website and had also removed the care home from his LinkedIn page. It was clear that his actions had caused him to lose his job. Nigel's relationship status on Facebook changed from "in a relationship" to "it's complicated." In almost an instant, he had lost his job and damaged his relationship with his family. Nigel had completely stopped posting on Facebook and eventually shut his Facebook account down. This guy's life was turned upside down, and it all stemmed from his actions online. I have comfort in knowing that he will never encourage suicide again. Everybody has the right to an opinion, but nobody has the right to prey on the vulnerable. Do I feel guilty? Of course. But then I remember all the people that he sought to destroy. This man was in a position of care. What if my actions had saved the life of someone? It's these thoughts that make my guilt fade away. You know, OP, I don't want to overly glorify OP here, but it's also possible that OP might have inadvertently helped this guy, because I think you can actually be prosecuted for encouraging someone to unalive themselves, and then if they actually do unalive themselves, you can be charged, depending on your location, of course. So yeah, OP did destroy the guy's life, but it's also possible he spared him like a jail sentence. Our next Reddit post is from Educational Gap. I was an adjunct professor at a college. One of the students didn't seem to take a liking to me and tried to get me fired by making false accusations that I had pinched and caressed her hair. I did not take this lightly. I could have been fired and faced criminal charges. This student was on a scholarship that required her to pass all units by her second attempt. Our college also requires a minimum attendance to pass a unit. This was her second attempt at this unit, as she had attempted and dropped out of another course before. So, an eye for an eye, right? I accidentally forgot to
No,
mark her
ma'am,
name down
get-
when taking
no.
attendance, even if she was there. A few weeks later, she was gone. I was confronted by her friend that she had lost her scholarship and was now living out of her car because of my carelessness in taking attendance. Little did they know.
That was r/nuclear revenge. And if you like this content, check out my podcast where I
She's kind of like huddled now. She thinks she's slick, but she's gonna learn the hard way. She tries to pull like what Asami does, and, like slowly.
Welcome to
crawl up.
r/best of Redditor update.
For context, all of us trying to get onto my table to get to the empty bowl that had the tuna in it, and she doesn't think that I can tell, so she gets smacked in the face for it. Not a hard smack, just like a quick little bang. Like another cat would do to like ward her off, so. Yeah, I know what you're doing. I have 3 other cats.
Updates where someone steals OP's hair so they can smell it and burn it.
Our next Reddit post
What
comes
the
from
fuck?
r/true off my chest.
For context on this next post, this story happens during the week of Thanksgiving. I'm weirded out. I'm also going to be vague because obvious reasons. I'm a woman in my 30s, and my stylist is in her 40s. I got my hair cut today at a stylist that I've been using for about 9 months now. I think this is my 6th appointment with them. I usually do a trim or a style. Today, I went from long hair that reached to my high lower back to an A-line bob. So, because of the dramatic length adjustment, they took a picture of the cut length in the floor to add to their social media, then intending to add before and after photos too. That
Hi,
was
JD.
totally fine and
Welcome
normal.
in.
My stylist grabs a broom, sweeps up the hair, and places the dustpan on the counter for a bit. Again, normal. They grab the broom and pan and head to the back of the shop. They're gone for a few minutes. No biggie. Then they go out for a smoke. But here's where it gets weird. The bathroom is in the back of the shop too. I need to go to the bathroom, so I step into the back. On the way back, I notice my name on a small clear tote on the table. The tote has no lid and it has my hair in it. At first, I didn't really think much of it, but I looked
Art's going good. And the Reddit stories are wild. How are you?
closer and see that it's not just today's discarded hair, but it looks to contain hair from at least a few of my trim sessions, mixed with, I think, potpourri and sand or something, and also printed pictures of my haircut with dates. The printer is right next to this bag, and on the printer is the picture of today's discarded hair. I didn't notice any other containers like this when I looked around. It was effing weird. So I took a picture on my phone. I honestly didn't know what to think or do and went back out to the salon. The stylist came back in and I mentioned that I went to the restroom and they seemed to freak out a bit but didn't say anything. I didn't really know what to say, so I just let them finish styling my hair, paid, and left. As a socially anxious introvert, this
Packing is always, like, so exhausting. Hope you get, like, a good little rest from it. And that, the rest of the packing goes easy.
was my nightmare. I got home, and the more I looked at that picture, the more ick I got. I ended up texting them an hour ago, sending the picture, and requesting they remove the weird box of me and asking for an explanation. I said, "Hey, so I saw this and didn't know what to make of it. Can you help me understand what this is and why you have it? I'm not comfortable with you having this and request you please discard the contents. Also, even though I loved my haircut, I believe it's best if I find a different stylist. They haven't responded. What the hell? Then, about 1 week later, OP posted an update. It's been about a week, and with the holidays, I've been all over the place, but I ended up going to law enforcement to make a report last Monday. I'll likely end up going back if my stylist keeps contacting me like they have been. So I got the haircut on Saturday. Next day, Sunday, I woke up to a bunch of text messages from the stylist. It woke me up because even though I have Do Not Disturb on my phone, I have a setting that overrides if there's repeated contact attempts of over 3 in case of emergencies. Here's what the stylist sent me, copy and pasted, starting at 3:49 in the morning. Also, for clarity, OP has never specified the gender of this person, so I'm going to use a dumb guy's voice, but we don't know the gender here. I don't recommend going to a different stylist because of this. It's not a big deal. Small towns and people talk, and you may not find anyone that will take you after this, so I'd reconsider. I don't like threats. So, I have your biological material, and it's mine property now. I can do what I want with it. I kept it because I can, and it means a lot to me. Why'd you send the pic?
Ew.
I know what it looks like. It's mine. You need to respond to me because I think it's misunderstanding about what this is. And it's no big deal. And you saying you're switching stylist has me triggered. I do good work. You said so. I also charge a $350 client separation fee. So yeah, you can't just say you're switching stylists with more consequences. And I know you said you already tried a few people before me, and there are not many beauty people in the area. Asking for an explanation for a stylist having hair in a salon is crazy. Where else would you find hair at? I didn't do nothing wrong, but I will get rid of it if you're gonna cry about it, and only if you say you won't be snitching to anyone else for your hair care. You mean a lot as a client and always tip well, and I do good work. So it doesn't make sense, and you know that, so maybe don't threaten someone who does your hair and hurt their heart by making accusatory statements. I didn't respond to any of those this morning because it sounded insane to me. I need to process things fully before I make a decision on how to deal with it, so I just didn't respond. Sunday afternoon, I started getting phone calls. The stylist called me 14 times that afternoon, and every other call, they left a voicemail. Most of the voicemails just said, call me back or text me back, but 2 of them were unhinged. I'm gonna paraphrase, but in the first one, it sounded like my stylist was crying and it went like this. Call me back! I'm getting scared you won't come back to me for your hair for real. I just like how your hair feels. That's why I kept it. Call me. The second unhinged message was left late Sunday night, close to midnight. I got rid of the hair except for one lock. I found out I like watching your hair burn more than I liked keeping it. Yo, what
Bro, what the
you guys?
fuck?
I didn't respond to any of those messages, calls, or texts. The whole thing's had me freaked out now. I decided by that time that I was taking Monday off work to go to the cops. Even if they couldn't do anything, I wanted a filed report of the weirdness. I woke up Monday to an email from the stylist with an invoice of $375 for client breach of contract fee as the chargeable line item. The email body was just for being a B word. It was sent from their business email too, so they're really doing everything they can to ruin themselves. Even if I had a contract with this nutter, which I don't, the original amount was for $350. They can't even get their extortion fees right. I did email them back stating that we had no contract and to cease all further communication with me from this point forward. I went to the police station at 9:45 on Monday. I live in a rural area, so there are portions of my drive to and from our main town that doesn't have cell reception. When I finally got to town, I had 4 voicemails. I knew immediately who they were from. I talked to one of the officers on staff. They took my statement, a copy of the email, and asked me to forward all the texts and screenshots of the numbers of calls. The cop said that, at the least, these calls and texts could be considered menacing and harassment. But the voicemail where they mentioned how they like burning my hair was potentially concerning. Yeah, no kidding, Detective Obvious here. The officer advised I contact a legal representative in case this person tries to take the bogus invoice to a civil suit court. The cop said that I'm welcome to change my number, but having the evidence pile up if they continue to contact me after I explicitly told them not to in the email would only help me. I reached out to a lawyer on Tuesday and left a detailed message regarding the situation. I've since received many texts and calls from the stylist. The stylist also sent me a Happy Thanksgiving text on Thursday morning as well. Regardless, they're giving me a lot of evidence to work with, but I'm so
Jesus.
unsettled. I can't wait to hear back from the lawyer this week. OP makes another update just to say that she's safe, and this is a text message she received. Don't never say never. You're never coming back? Don't make me laugh. I don't want your ass back. You can beg me though, might help. Then, 4 days later, OP posts another update. I met with law enforcement again this past Tuesday. My husband and I drove over early that morning because I was also meeting up with the lawyer that I'm working with. Aside from the near constant texts, calls, and emails, I wanted to pursue legal action for a specific issue. Allegedly, this stylist tried to have my credit card canceled. Apparently, they used the last 4 digits of my card, called the customer service line for the card, and tried to cancel it. I got a call from the fraud department shortly after this person attempted to do this, trying to verify everything to see if I actually wanted to close my account and dissolve my credit line with them. To be clear, the stylist was not successful in their alleged attempt. The stylist couldn't provide the basic information you need for these types of things, like my last name, date of birth, address, etc. Apparently, they thought they could accomplish this with just my name, phone number, and the last 4 digits of the card number. I didn't cancel the card, but I did request a new one for obvious reasons. I had no clue why they would want to cancel my card. To inconvenience me? Yeah, that's exactly why, allegedly. When I spoke with the credit card company, they agreed to send over the recording of the person that called, as well as the phone number the call originated from, as long as the request came from law enforcement with a warrant. They gave me a phone number and reference number for the police to reach out to them directly. The officer began working on that immediately, so that's in progress. I went to the phone company over the weekend. I had my phone number transferred to an old phone so I could still receive calls and texts there, but got a new phone number for my actual phone. The old phone and phone number has been turned over to the officer assigned to my case. The cops did go and speak with the stylist yesterday. Apparently, the stylist is horrified that I went to the cops and had no idea that any of their crazy could be chargeable offenses. According to the officer, there have been no further communications via texts or phone since their visit, and I haven't received any other emails. A temporary protection and no contact order has been issued against them until the first court date. I've also reached out to the State Board of Licensing with all this information and my complaints. All I can say is that they're investigating. Man, OP, sounds like you're really caught in a hairy situation here.
God.
The really obvious crazy thing about this post is that this person is, stealing and smelling and burning hair. But to me, the scariest thing about this is that this person's job is to have scissors and sharp instruments next to someone's skull. I saw a TikTok the other day where a barber was recording a video of them cutting someone's hair and they accidentally sliced off the top of the person's ear. I guess because they were holding the phone and they were distracted. If OP ever went back to this stylist, I'd be afraid that person would carve OP's face off. Also, if there's any lawyers listening to this video, I've got a question for you. Who owns OP's hair in this situation? Right? It's obviously OP's hair. It's got OP's DNA and she grew it. But once it's cut, is it still hers or is it like anybody's, it's like fair game? Because the guy was talking about how he had a right to keep it. It's hair, of course I'd have it. And actually, I think he's right. I mean, it's crazy behavior, don't get me wrong. But I think legally he is allowed to own OP's hair, right? I'm just trying to imagine the courtroom scene. Your Honor, my client is allowed to own other people's hair. There's no law against it. OP got her hair cut, so it's not like she wants it. So if he wants to collect all that hair and form it together to create a giant doll shaped like OP made out of her hair, then that's completely within his right to do so. I really do actually think that lawyer would be correct. I think that is legal, as crazy as that sounds. Our next Reddit post comes from r/advice.
When we first started dating, my girlfriend asked me what my favorite meal was so she could cook it for me on our 1-month anniversary. We were 16 years old, and I told her my favorite meal was chicken parmesan. She cooked it for me from scratch, and it was delicious. However, I realized that what I meant to say was chicken Alfredo. I felt bad that she went out of her way to cook what she thought was my favorite meal, so I didn't correct her or myself. Fast forward to now. We've been together for 11 years, we've been married for 2 years, and once a month or so, she still makes chicken parm for me because she thinks it's my favorite. It's good,
Aww.
but it's really just not my favorite. At this point, it's way too late to tell her the truth, right? Alright, as you guys might expect, OP is getting dragged in the comments, not in a mean way, more of like a haha OP you're such an idiot way. And then OP posted an update about a week later. I'm glad my travesty brought so many of you joy. I ultimately decided to tell my wife the truth. I'm not sure I made the right decision after all, because I'm far more embarrassed now than I ever was over this. I've never seen my wife laugh the way that she did that night. Just when I thought she was done laughing, she would start up all over again. We now have this incredible inside joke for the rest of our lives. Huge thank you to everyone who commented their advice. OP, I remember one time when I was like, I don't know, 7 years old, my mom had these chocolate covered cherries and I was eating them because I love chocolate. And mom was like, wow, you must really like those. And I said, yep, they're good. And then every single Christmas for the next like 25 years, she got me chocolate covered cherries. And I asked her why, and she said, because you like them so much. And I said, like, they're okay. Where'd you get that idea? And she relayed that story, and I was like, Mom, I was 7. It was candy. Of course I liked it. Also, down in the comments, we have this story from Ingle Pinks. So, for about 45 years, my mom has been making stuffed peppers regularly. One day, about 6 or so years ago, she offered me some stuffed peppers that she had in the freezer. I thanked her, but said, no thanks, I don't really like them. She says, me either. She then asked my dad because she knows that he loves them. He says, no thank you, I don't really like them, to be honest. My mom was shocked. She's been making them for 45 years, just for him. He just never said anything because he
God.
didn't want her to feel bad. Turns out none of us particularly like them, and we've spent decades eating them out of politeness. And then one day, the time was right for the politeness to run out. It's a running joke in our family now, and mom and dad use it as an example of things you do for people you love. At least the guy above liked his meal, it just wasn't his favorite, and they only had it for 11 years. Also, apparently there's actually a scientific name for this. It's called the Abilene paradox, and it basically describes this exact scenario where everyone agrees, hey, let's go to McDonald's because everyone loves McDonald's, when secretly nobody loves McDonald's.
That was r/best of Redditor updates, and if you like this content, check out my podcast where I publish the exact same episodes. Also, hit that subscribe button because I put out new Reddit videos every single day.
Welcome to r/Am I the Butthole, where OP walks in on his girlfriend cheating and the girlfriend claims, it was just a prank, bro. Am I the butthole for breaking up with my girlfriend because of a caught cheating prank? I'm a 26-year-old man, and I broke up with my 25-year-old girlfriend of 2 years because of something that happened recently, and now my friends are saying that I massively overreacted. So, a few days ago, my girlfriend and a close mutual friend decided to play a prank on me. The prank was they filmed a scenario where I caught them in bed together, pretending they were hooking up. They set up a hidden camera in the bedroom, and when I walked in, I saw him in just boxers and my girlfriend in bra and panties, straddling him, acting like they were mid-hookup. To make it more realistic, they even made some noises and tried to act like it was happening for real. I was shocked, furious, and immediately confronted them as I thought that it was real at first, like an actual betrayal. And then I walked out of the room and started leaving the house when they followed me screaming that it was just a prank, and they showed me the video they'd been recording. To be honest, I felt completely betrayed, not just by the idea of the prank, but also because of how they'd gotten undressed to film it.
I know it's meant to be funny to some people, but for me, it felt disrespectful, and I was hurt. The whole thing felt like a violation of trust, even though I know they weren't actually cheating. I told her I couldn't be in a relationship with someone who would do something like that, and I ended things right there. She's devastated, and our friends have been telling me that I overreacted. They think that it was just a harmless prank, and I should have taken it better. But I can't shake the feeling that it crossed a line for me, especially with how intimate and uncomfortable it felt to see them in that situation, even if it wasn't real. Now I'm left wondering if I made the right decision. I'm starting to doubt myself because everyone else seems to think that I blew it out of proportion. The thing people don't seem to understand is even if the prank is fake, the feelings and emotions that it can cause in other people are not fake. You still have to deal with the heartache, the feelings of betrayal, the loss of trust. Also, down in the comments, OP posted an update. My ex-girlfriend was really upset with all the hate that she received online and blamed me for painting her in a bad light. I told her I did no such thing. She just didn't like that she got called out for her behavior. The mutual friend who was part of the prank is now pissed off at me, saying that I went way overboard. I told them both to F off, and I've blocked their numbers. Our friends have since started taking this more seriously after reading some of the comments on here, with a few taking my side and saying that what my girlfriend and the friend did was horrible. Others still think that it was all unnecessary, and I should have just laughed it off and moved on. Man, I don't know what these people are talking about. I don't want to see my partner in her underwear straddling another man. That would be such a violation of trust. OP, you get 0 out of 5 buttholes. Your borderline cheating girlfriend gets 2.5 out of 5 buttholes. Am I the butthole for uninviting my sister from my wedding after she demanded I change my wedding colors because they clash with her complexion? I'm a 28-year-old woman getting married to the love of my life, a 30-year-old man, in 6 months. We've been planning our dream wedding for over a year, and everything was going smoothly until recently. My older sister, Sarah, who's 32, has always been particular. She's very into aesthetics and her personal image. She's also used to getting her way. When we were kids, she was always the golden child, and my parents rarely told her no. We're not super close, but we're on decent terms. I asked her to be a bridesmaid, and she accepted. I was happy to have her be a part of my special day. We decided on a color scheme of dusty rose and sage green for our wedding. I love these colors, and they fit perfectly with our outdoor garden-themed venue. I sent out a mood board for the bridal party, including Sarah, to give them an idea of the overall vibe. A few days later, Sarah called me practically in tears. She said the colors were horrendous and would completely wash her out. She has olive skin and dark hair, and apparently these colors are her worst nightmare. She demanded I change the entire wedding color scheme to something that would complement her better, like jewel tones. I was shocked. I tried to explain that we had already put down deposits based on these colors, and it was way too late to change everything. I also reminded her that the wedding is about me and my fiance, not her. She went ballistic. She accused me of being selfish and inconsiderate and said that it was ruining her experience. She even threatened not to come if I didn't change the colors. After a few days of her relentless pressure and guilt tripping, I finally snapped. I told her that if she was that unhappy with the colors, then maybe it was best if she didn't come at all. I uninvited her from the wedding and the bridal party. Now, my parents are furious. They're saying that I'm overreacting and being a bridezilla. They're accusing me of ruining the family over something as trivial as wedding colors. Some of my extended family are also taking her side, saying I should be more accommodating. My fiance supports my decision, but I'm starting to feel incredibly guilty. I'm also heartbroken that this is causing such a huge rift in my family. Maybe I should have tried harder to make my sister happy, even if it meant changing my vision. Yo, how can your family say that
real,
you're the one
dude.
ruining the family over colors when literally it's your sister who's ruining the family over colors? She's the one who started all this drama. OP, you get 0 out of 5 buttholes. I'm giving your overdramatic sister, what's fair? I guess 1.5 out of 5 buttholes. Maybe 2 out of 5 buttholes. Am I the butthole for just deciding not to travel because my wife made reservations for Disney again? My wife Jess and I have been married for the past 13 years. We're both 39. After experiencing financial hardship throughout our 20s and early 30s, Jess and I are now fortunate enough to have the means to travel once or twice a year. The only problem is that Jess literally only wants to go to Disney World. We've been to Disney 9 times now, and every vacation we've ever taken together was to go there, including our honeymoon. So we go. We eat the Mickey Mouse ice cream, we wear the mouse ears, we stay in the official hotels, we see the characters, we ride the rides, we take the pictures in front of Cinderella's castle, and we come home. Every trip. I'm honestly beyond sick of Disney, and I never really liked going in the first place. Jess knows this, but she has no concept of travel beyond Disney. We're currently planning a trip for April, and Jess, as usual, said that we can just go to Disney. I explained that it sounds fun, but hey, why don't we go somewhere like Hawaii this time? Jess was confused. She asked, why would we go to Hawaii? I responded that we could enjoy the spas and go to the beach. Jess mumbled a half-hearted answer and walked away. A few days later, she approached me, saying that she made hotel reservations for Hawaii. At first, I was excited because although she did so without consulting me, it seemed like she was really listening. But then, when she showed me the hotel she booked, I found that she had made reservations for Aulani, the Disney resort in Hawaii. Frustrated, I told her that I'm honestly tired of Disney, and I just want to have a different experience this time. She told me that she was compromising with me, and that I should be appreciative for the time that she spent. I asked her if she was willing to consider anything other than Disney for our trip, and she said no. At this point, I said that I wasn't going. Now she's furious. She canceled the reservation she made, and now she's looking for a friend to go to Disney World with again without me. Was I the butthole here for not trying to accommodate her request? Yo, Disney 9 times in 13 years is pretty bonkers. I'm amazed that you made it to attempt number 10 before you said anything about it. I don't want to knock your wife necessarily because the girl has a hobby. You know, you can't really blame her for having a hobby. But to force that hobby on you is unreasonable. So I'm giving your wife 2 out of 5 buttholes for not compromising. Even the compromise that she thinks she made isn't really a compromise. Also, OP, I have to give you a very gentle 0.5 out of 5 butthole score because it sounds like your wife does all the travel arrangements. If you want to go to Hawaii, then maybe you should book the resort. Maybe you should book the plane. I'm saying this because this is super similar to the dynamic my wife and I have. She is super A-type and really organized, so she likes controlling the schedule and booking all the flights, so I let her do that. And, you know, the consequence of her booking all the flight and the hotels is that she gets to pick the flight, she gets to pick the hotels, she gets to pick departure dates, and I don't really get to complain about that, right? That's not really fair to me. Oh, you should have picked this hotel. So, OP, you've got to take some responsibility here. If you want control, then you have to take control. I mean, don't get me wrong, OP, I really am on your side here. It's just, this feels a bit similar to someone whose wife makes pot roast every single night, and then you complain about pot roast. Well then, okay, buddy, why don't you cook something else? Am I the butthole for abandoning a random kid after I almost missed my train? I was traveling back to the state that I work in, with 45 minutes to spare before my train. I was just chilling when this lady comes up with a kid, looking flustered. She says, "Can you watch him for a minute? I have an emergency. I'll be right back." Before I could even respond, she hands me her phone number and disappears. At first I thought, fine, I'll be here anyways. But 15 minutes turned into 30, then 40. I kept calling her, but she never picked up. The kid was crying, and I was panicking because my train was about to leave. When the warning whistle blew, I had to decide. I ran to the police checkpost, explained everything, gave the kid and the phone number to them, and then ran for my train. I made it just in time. A minute later, we were off. 10 minutes later, the mom called, screaming that I kidnapped her kid and saying she'd filed a police complaint. I told her I'd called multiple times, that she didn't pick up, and the kid was now with the cops, so ask them. I then called her a terrible mom and hung up. I feel bad for the kid, but I didn't know what else to do. Am I the butthole? Yo, this lady gave her child to a stranger for 45 minutes. The parent in me, I can feel my heart beating faster. 45 minutes is enough time to abduct, abuse, murder, and then dump the body of a kid. And she's like, here you go, I'll be back in a few. Oh my God. Some people don't deserve to be parents. OP, you get 0 out of 5 buttholes. I'm giving this lady 4.5 out of 5 buttholes. Some people down in the comments are saying this might be a scam, and the scam is that in a moment of like indecision, OP takes the kid with him on the train, and then as soon as he leaves, she calls back and says, "Oh, you kidnapped my daughter. You better give her back, otherwise I'm going to file a police report and charge you with kidnapping because it's my word against yours, unless you give me $10,000. So it could be a scam. I kind of feel like it's not because, you know, if a scam doesn't work, why would you call them up to complain? You know, you just move on and look for the next mark. So I think this is more stupidity / bad parenting than it is a scam. Could be wrong though. Am I the butthole for kicking my brother and his wife out of my house after they demanded that I change my baby's name? I'm a 32-year-old woman and my husband is 34. We just had our first baby, a beautiful little girl. We named her Lena after my late mother, who passed away a few years ago. This name has deep meaning for us, and it felt perfect. My older brother, who's 37, and his wife came over to meet the baby for the first time. As soon as they heard her name, my sister-in-law's face dropped. She said that Lena was the name that she had always planned to use for her future daughter. They don't have kids yet, and accused us of stealing the name. At first I thought that she was joking, but she kept going, saying that we were selfish and ruined the name for her. My brother backed her up and suggested we consider changing it since they called dibs years ago. I lost it and told them they were being ridiculous and disrespectful, especially since this name honors my mom. When they wouldn't drop it, I asked them to leave. Now they're telling our family that I'm heartless and stole their dream name while overreacting by kicking them out. Kind of funny. They called dibs, but you called cribs because there's literally a baby with that name in your crib. And how can you steal the name when it's literally your birthright considering your mom has the name? This is dumb. People are so dumb. OP, you get 0 out of 5 buttholes. I'm giving your brother and sister-in-law 2 out of 5 buttholes. Am I the butthole for not giving up my window seat on a plane to a kid just because she threw a tantrum? I was on a domestic flight, and I'd specifically booked a window seat because I loved looking out at the view. It's one of the few things that I actually enjoy about flying. After I settled into my seat, a family boarded. A dad, a mom, and their little girl, who looked to be about 6 years old. The dad had an aisle seat, the mom was in the middle, and the kid was supposed to sit in the other aisle seat. Everything seemed fine. Until the girl realized that she wasn't sitting by the window. She immediately started complaining. "I want the window! I want the window!" Her parents tried to calm her down, but she quickly escalated into a full-blown tantrum, crying and yelling about how she wanted my seat. At this point, the dad leaned over and asked, "Would you mind switching seats with her? She's just a kid." I politely explained that I had booked the window seat in advance because I really wanted to enjoy the view. My dad insisted, saying it'd be nice of me and that it wouldn't hurt to switch. I reiterated that I understood his frustration, but didn't think that his daughter's tantrum was a valid reason for me to give up a seat that I specifically reserved. He sighed and tried to push further, but I stood my ground. The girl cried for about 10 more minutes before her mom managed to calm her down with a tablet. However, the tension lingered. Throughout the flight, I could feel the parents throwing me judgmental looks. And when we landed, I overheard the mom muttering something like, "Some people just have no heart." This made me wonder if I'd been too rigid. I know kids can be a handful, but I also feel like giving in would have taught her that throwing a tantrum gets her what she wants. Still, I couldn't shake off the guilt. So, am I the butthole? I'm a father of a 3-year-old girl who throws temper tantrums, including the one she threw yesterday because she doesn't believe that the word butterfly starts with the letter B. And I had to tell her that actually, yes, it does start with the letter B, and that led to a crying fit. Because 3-year-olds are just, they're just like that, man. So coming from that perspective, I would have to say that OP is completely in the right. Their bad planning is not your emergency. OP, you get 0 out of 5 buttholes. I'm giving the mom and the dad 1 out of 5 buttholes.
That was r/am I the butthole. And
The window seat's the best seat on the plane, dude. Like, I would not give up my window seat for a child. I flew a lot growing up and everything, and I loved getting the window seat. But even as a child, I wasn't sitting there throwing a tantrum just because I didn't get the window seat. If they opened up the window, I'd be looking out it because I'd be like, oh my god, I want to see like the outside world and everything, and especially when you're landing, because I would always land like close to like the nighttime, so I'd see all the city lights and stuff, and I loved seeing the city lights like coming into view, so I'd always like watch as we were landing. But god, to like throw a tantrum over it, nah. Alright. I think I have a design for chat. Little, like, kind of like a little Pomeranian ghost flower. They're cute. I know I've been saying blooms, but now that I have a design, I can always change up the name too, because I'm still not, like, set on a lot of things. Even the cat nights can change. So, like, the name for these could also change. But yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and end off for the night because my hand's starting to get sore from all the drawing. Let's see. Is there anybody else? Oh, I see Undine. Let's go get Undine. We're gonna raid out to them. Thank you guys for hanging out for the art stream and the crazy ass Reddit stories. Hope y'all have a good rest of y'all's night. And let's go get Undine. Yeah. Bye.